This is a proper man in. You know what I mean? Proper man who don't talk shit, don't tell lies. He gives everybody his time.
Give him a round of applause as our heavyweight champion of the world. Woo!
Nice work from Joshua.
I'm not a 12-round fighter. Look at me. I'm a new breed of heavyweights. All them heavyweights, Mike Tyson, Sonny Liston, Jack Dempsey. Oh, yeah, you don't throw combinations like Rocky Marciano. Because I ain't fucking 14 stone, that's why. I'm 18 stone, I'm heavy.
You're a troll. You know the word troll? Do you know what that means? Like a troll is just a fucking complete and utter low-life scumbag. It's a troll. So what? You don't have to say anything to the trolls.
Hard work. This guy here is a phenomenal talent. We're gonna cheer for him 3 times. Well, how many belts you got now, bro? 5. Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! And as I said, I was studying Ukraine and all the champions that have come from your amazing country, but I ain't never been there. But at the same time, what's happening there is, I don't know what's happening, but it's not nice at the end of the day. I've seen it with Lomachenko in his second fight against Orlando. There was unrest in Ukraine, right or wrong. There was issues in Ukraine in your second fight. There was civil war. Vitaly Klitschko, when he faced Danny Williams, civil unrest.
Get behind AJ to win this weekend. He's a great man. He's done so much for the sport. He's inspired so many. As Bellew says, you know, he paved the way, AJ, for fights for Bellew, like against Usyk and against David Haye, and for him to have that kind of platform.
Usyk as a champion, please raise your hand. Under them circumstances, he managed to become champion. Champ, champ! Champ, champ! Champ, champ! And I just want to say, Bismillah.
Hip hip!
Hooray! Happy birthday to you.
Champ, champ, I think is what you're looking for, Andy. Champ, champ.
Oh, sorry, mate. Champ, champ. 5 times, please. 5 belts.
Episode 488 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse. Steve, Andy, and Matt. Still trying to digest what we saw yesterday and what was one of the more bizarre moments in modern boxing history. Anthony Joshua following a fun fight against Alexander Usyk that he clearly lost. Leaves the ring. Thinks someone was running their mouth at him or something. Turns back around. Grabs the mic before even there's even any post-fight interviews. And erupts into that tirade that you just heard there. Definitely one of the strangest things that I've ever witnessed in a boxing ring. Got an odd bit of Ukrainian history in there. An admission that he's not a 12-round fighter. But, and it's a shame because, Andy, it overshadowed what was a pretty good fight where if you look at the betting markets where they started to squeeze in on Usyk by stoppage, you look at what you guys were saying, the consensus seemed to be that Usyk was going to go in there and knock him out. And Joshua struggled a bit towards the later rounds, but he fared better than the first fight. Had his moments. It was definitely closer. But we're not talking about Joshua's better performance, are we? We're talking about his fucking mental breakdown.
Yeah, I suppose, mate. I don't know if it was a mental breakdown or if it's just absolute devastation that he's went away for months and tried to adapt and readjust and reevaluate whatever it was, and he was more competitive last night. He won rounds. He was more aggressive. And we mentioned it last night on the post-fight pod, and it wasn't good enough. And probably to actually go through all of that and still come up short on that, it's got to be devastating, obviously. They're talking about, he's under pressure, all this type of thing, but so was Usyk. Usyk was under pressure as well, and Usyk didn't have like a 10-minute Oliver McCall moment in the ring there last night as well. He was quite docile. The dumping the belts was just weird. Firstly, it wasn't even his belts to be touched in the first place. It was like a really Bo moment, just dumping the belts and just walking out the ring, raging. Usyk goes and gets him back, I believe, and starts presenting him up in the corner of the ring, that type of thing. But look, it's a shame because we mentioned it last night. Joshua was far more competitive. Round 9, I was watching back the last 4 rounds before I came on live there actually, and I know it was probably his most dominant round of the entire 2 fights. But see, at the same time, for the amount of punches that he threw, not many of them landed, to be fair. A lot of those were blocked, a lot of them were missed, and maybe just slightly just skiffed off the side of his gloves. But he did land a few shots, good few body shots as well.
I still couldn't
Uppercuts
see
and
what he
hooks.
hurt him with exactly. There was definitely something he got him with in the 9th, but I could never pinpoint
body
what the
shot.
shot was.
It was a body
Body
shot. I'm
shot,
sure the
yeah.
right uppercut, mate, to the body. I'm sure, or a left hook. And he caught Usyk again with a straight right hand, I think, in round 10. But as I says, to have Joshua like put in that effort in round 9, thinking, right, okay, I've got my foothold, I'm on top of the guy now, and then to have Usyk come back at him in round 10. And as I says, Joshua also landed that straight right hand, and Usyk just ate it, and he come back at him again. And that's going to be demoralising. As I says, you've tried to adjust your style, and be more tight with your defence, be more aggressive, as I mentioned, more active as well, and it just wasn't enough. And as I says, just to have where Joshua's only mental challenge over the last few years was really to stay humble. Now we're getting to see the real man. In the day, fucking that is who he is, and I would have more respect for Joshua if that's how he was to act all the time, rather than this contrived media trained lackey that we've had over the last decade. If that is who he is in real life, then we can have some of that. And I think that would be a great build up for a Wilder fight or a Fury fight somewhere down the line. He's got options, obviously, if he wants to keep fighting. I'm a wee bit concerned though, because look, he's crying after all that, right? And people can laugh at all they want, but if there is a mental health issue there, why are people like Eddie and that want to push him back out again before the end of the year? Obviously, it's about cash, obviously, but if the guy's struggling, why not just give him a moment to himself and let him fucking decide himself when I'm coming back, when I'm fit and ready, mentally, mainly, and just leave it at that. But it seems to be, he seems to be getting pushed back out again too soon. And as I say, if he takes another L, especially against a contender, ranked contender, he's going to be struggling to try and get back into contention. But it says that there is options there. You got Zhang possibly in China, the Wilder winner against Miscellaneous, Fury if he wants it, but how he gets back into relevancy, that type of thing. So we'll just need to wait and see. There is options for him. Usyk's made it clear what he wants to do. But as I say, it was just hot. It was just weird to see. It was just awful. It wasn't even your moment, And he did the exact same thing to Andy Ruiz after Ruiz knocked him out in New York. If anybody remembers that one, he made it all about himself. Digging up. Okay, he was bigging up Ruiz, and he tried in some sort of roundabout way to kind of big up Usyk there last night as well. But it just came off wrong. And it wasn't your place to be. It wasn't your place to be speaking, and it wasn't your place to be holding his belts and dumping them over the top rope like that. Right? And then you created a bit of havoc with the Ukrainian mob. It was in the ring there, I think, with Lomachenko and that as well. Usyk said there was a bit of bullying going on, that type of thing. So I know he's emotional, but as I say, if you were so annoyed, you should just have walked out and left it at that, right? And maybe speak at a later date. But hey ho, that's how it transpired. I suppose it's great for us fans and that as well, because after the fight, we just went to bed. Other than that, everybody stayed up an extra 3-4 hours just trying to catch the aftermath. So is what it is,
Yeah, and it's a shame that it's overshadowing what was actually a pretty darn good fight. Steve, when we had Smitto on here last week, we kind of talked about how the way that everything was looking as far as the bettors market was laid out, that they thought there's something interesting was going to happen late, and they couldn't decide what it was. And that's exactly what we got. The last 4 rounds of that fight were some of the best rounds in heavyweight boxing we've seen since the 3rd fight between Wilder and Fury.
Yeah, something interesting happened late, all right. It wasn't quite what we were expecting or what the betting market was expecting, but what a night. I mean, it was a good fight. I absolutely agree with you, Matty, and that's what we need in the heavyweight division. But I think firstly, the issue of the cards, that was what stuck out to me. Even though it was a close fight, the right man won, and there should have been zero doubt about that. The card in Joshua's favour, I think it was Feldman who came up with it. It just makes zero sense to me. It's a bigger stretch than Devon Alexander's Aeneas to have him winning that fight at 115, 113, even though it's pretty narrow. I mean, going in, I thought Joshua was going to get stopped, and I was wrong, as I often am. I thought he'd get badly gas out. I thought he'd mentally collapse during the fight, not after the fight. He was always dangerous, and he was always in it as well. And I'm going to give him credit because Greg Cross mentioned this on Twitter last night, and I mentioned it on the post-fight pod. Go and listen to that if you haven't. Credit to him for producing another edge-of-the-seat fight. For all of his faults, for all of his PR disasters, AJ, he's must-see TV. His fights are almost always exciting. Obviously, it can't be a banger every time. Something is about to go down, whether it's in the ring, out the ring, given his abilities, his vulnerabilities. There's a mixture of entertainment. There's always tension there with him. And I think the heavyweight division will probably be a poorer place whenever he packs up and leaves. But this was Usyk's night, not AJ's. Usyk's a verified champion. He's a unified champion. And he's shown across 24 rounds kind of like a variety of skills and all different moves, different looks, different angles. He can win a fight. He had to bite down on his gum shield last night to win that fight, which he knew he could do. He did it against Chisora, did it against the fellow in Latvia, Bradis. And the only next logical fight for him, like you said, is Fury. And then he can retire whatever the result. One of the main differences between last night and the first fight was the body shots. Once AJ started landing them, it made things really interesting. And we'd heard this story beforehand. It was going about on Twitter that Billy Nelson, I think it was, saying that Martin Bakole had hurt Usyk in sparring with the body shot, which isn't a good look from Nelson, I don't think, telling stories like that. But, you know, that's a one for another day. Joshua made reference to it in a pre-fight face-off. IFL picked up on that as well. And Usyk suffered in those later rounds from the body shots. He was visibly hurt in round 9, but he did what champions do. Grit, determination, conditioning, all the cliches. He turned up the heat in rounds 10 and 11. And I thought he's going to have this monumental effort in the 12th. And all of a sudden, he looked a bit tired again. He looked exhausted at the end, which is obvious. I mean, Joshua's a big man. He's got a big punch. He got those combinations. They're going to take the toll on anybody. The fact that Usyk threw over 700 punches, it's just testament to his conditioning. Or maybe whatever juice he's on, as the Dr. Joseph Ajayo would say.
Oh, man, I wouldn't even want to touch that. A couple points I'd like to make is I thought that AJ did something a little better late that he should have done more early, and it wasn't necessarily even the body shots. I thought when there were times that he was getting close and throwing a few shots, and then he would try to step around, and I think that was the wrong idea. I think he should have thrown those shots and stepped in, clinched, and tried to put his weight onto Usyk. And I think it could have been a little bit more interesting with some more opportunity for him late. And also, I thought he didn't throw the uppercut to the head enough, and I thought there was a couple of chances where he had to throw it behind the body shots, and he didn't take it, and he chose to throw a different shot instead. And it's a shame.
Last night as well, he was missing it from he was throwing it from mid distance there last night. But you're right enough what you're saying. Seeing on the inside, he was making the uppercuts count, especially to the body. And I picked up what you just said there as well. Around about round 11 or 12, that's when he started to kind of lean on the back of Usyk and clinch with him. I don't know if that would have been a good tactic early doors because it wears you down as much as it wears down your opponent. And Usyk's shown godly stamina at the same time,
Well, he has definitely shown good stamina, and I wasn't it Froch who said that if Usyk that if Joshua didn't lose a point, he didn't have a chance of winning. And I think he was dead on. I think that there were some moments, specifically, I think, what was it, like the 5th round or something like that, when Joshua hit Usyk with a good shot on the hip or something like that, and the ref had to call time.
Oh, that was the low blow.
That was a low blow. It was below the belt. That one.
And I think he didn't need to do more of that. He had the little hammer fist moment. I think the only way that he had a chance, like the Garcia said, he can't win a boxing match. So the only way to win was to get dirty and take the juice away from your opponent. He had to be the big bully. And
he does what Wilder did. He does what Wilder did. Wilder actually went out and his shield was prepared. I'm not going to put it out there, but he said it himself. He was prepared to die. I don't know if Joshua's really got that killer instinct that Wilder's got, to be fair. I don't think he's got it anymore.
Well, the one thing that Wilder will do that Joshua doesn't is he's willing to punch with his opponents, and it's all because of that self-belief. And Joshua doesn't have that confidence. So notice that at the end of the fight, Fury's the only one he's interested in, not Wilder. If Fury retires and Wilder gets the WBC belt chance, and there's enough time with Helenius, and I think Helenius is ranked high enough, I wouldn't doubt it. But
definitely, yeah.
But but Wilder would punch with him. I still think that Wilder would beat Usyk. It's just one of those things. I mean, I have dumb faith in Deontay Wilder. And also I'll tell you another fight that I would hate if I was Usyk would be Joe Joyce, because I just can't see him hurting Joyce. and he's going to play the role of big man. And whenever he catches up to Usyk, he's going to make him fill his weight. And I think that's when it would start to play. But Joshua didn't want to play that role. He didn't want to play that role.
Well, they fought in the World Series and boxing, didn't they? I know that was only a 5-rounder, and that was a less experienced version of Joyce, but maybe a precursor as to how that fight would play out, I think.
I haven't
physically either. Physically as well, both guys wanted like what they are these days.
Yeah, no shit. And as far as the cards go, I scored at 116, 112 for Usyk, but I put a couple of rounds. I underlined the rounds I thought could have been swing rounds, and I gave the first to Usyk. I could see how you could give it to AJ. I gave the fifth to AJ, and I thought you could have given it to Usyk. And then the 8th I gave to Usyk, and I thought you could have given it to AJ. So I could have gotten to a draw on there, and maybe the 12th round. I guess that's how you'd get to that 115, 113 card for AJ. It's a big push, though. It's a big push.
12th round to Joshua.
Big push, man. Flip me. It's like the guru trying to push out his shit. That is, Matty. I think you're clutching at straws.
Is that based on like was it the left hook that he landed in the 12th round?
He landed a couple of decent shots, and the way that Usyk was more backing up than turning and stuff like that. I guess you could say that the body language image towards the end was that Usyk was weakening a little bit. I mean, like I said,
he was still slipping and sliding and landing shots.
Yeah, it's a push of a push. But like I said, I had it 116, 112. What'd you guys do? 117, 111 ish.
116, 112 ish. I would say it was close, but really the winner was clear in my opinion. I just think the guy can just make so many adjustments on the fly, and once at moments again, it was the 10th when he started like letting his hands go again, and he was catching Joshua to a point. Joshua actually froze for a nanosecond again. We mentioned that again last week. He doesn't even know what to do when he gets hit. Maybe if Usyk was a slightly bigger guy, he could have got him out of there last. I don't know. I thought I was with Steve that as well. I thought he'd got the knockout as well. But I say fair play to Joshua because he made adjustments. He really did. And but if that is him fighting his absolute peak, or his maximum, or the best of his ability, still wasn't good enough, then that's it. Just accept it. There's no disgrace.
It's a hard pill to swallow when your best isn't good enough.
Exactly.
It is a hard pill to swallow.
But that's why so many fighters delusional. That's why Deontay Wilder came up with so many excuses, because he couldn't comprehend the fact that the equalizer had always bailed him out, and all of a sudden he would have to face the fact that it didn't work against Fury, and it might never work again.
Well, and it's tough. You put the guy down 4 times and you can't finish him. I mean, you're like, what the fuck?
Well, also, that would be mentally tolling on you. See, if you knock someone, like you say, twice down, and you think the fight's over, and all of a sudden Fury gets back up again, and 3 or 4 rounds later, you're still pitching, it's going to take a mental toll on you. You think, fuck's sake, what do I have to do to get rid of this guy? It's going to wear you down.
He's made changes as well in his own camp, Wilder. He did the same thing that Joshua did, try to look at different things, work on a few things, whatever it was, and, just change that mentality, really.
I hope Wilder stays with Malik. I hope Wilder stays with Malik Scott, because I actually thought they were a good pairing. I mean, I think he way outperformed expectations people had for him in that 3rd fight, so I wouldn't fuck with that. I thought it was a good pairing.
Sorry, Matty, can I just throw something in on the Meltdown, because I didn't really talk about it yet, but just briefly, I thought that I mentioned it last night on the post-fight pod, and Des, who's in the chat there, he wrote a little paragraph that was far more succinct, but I don't mind AJ's meltdown or whatever it was called, or the fact his character was coming through up to a point, but I think it just went on for far too long was the problem with me. It started to become cringeworthy, but even worse, it started to take away from the victor, and it was like drifting into disrespectful territory. He was just rambling on aimlessly, and I saw a lot of people saying how much class he showed talking about the Ukraine, but what did he really say about it? A load of incoherent nonsense about whether...
Basically, he was saying your country's always been fucked up, is what I gathered from it.
He said about Klitschko fighting Danny Williams. He said he'd never been. He said something about when Lomachenko lost the rematch to Orlando. I don't know if he's talking about Orlando Salido. I don't remember that one. I don't know what was going on about there. I mean, it was hardly in-depth geopolitical analysis, was it? I mean, and they grabbed the Ukraine flag off him so quickly. It was as if to say, "Whoa, hang on a minute. We don't want this shit beaming around the world with our colours slap bang in the middle of it."
Exactly. My brother was saying the exact same thing. He says, I'd be doing the same if it was a Scottish flag, and he's rambling away. Give me that flag back, man. There's no way. He's like, Josh was like, I'm speaking. That's what he said. He says, no, I want the flag. Give me the flag. But see, at the same time, who's the idiot that told him, it doesn't fight like Rocky Marciano, combination punching? Someone tell me, Has anybody ever seen Rocky Marciano throw combinations? Because I haven't. Maybe
Aye.
like the odd jab right hand, but Jesus.
I think that was the least of his worries, but I'm glad his personality's shining through now. He's who he
Yeah.
really wants to be, man. They've been stifling him for years, protecting the image, protecting the cash flow. He's
brand.
clearly a Muslim. I wish he'd just change his name, come in the open, stop living a lie, man. Come on, AJ, come on out. Let's see who you really are. What more of this type of thing?
The only thing lacking for last night, really, with the creamed it right off to the top, would have been AJ on the mic shouting, "Don't shop in Ukrainian shops."
Jesus Christ.
I'll tell you one thing though, sorry Matty, I know I'm going on long here. You see all the seat sniffers defending AJ's rant. You see that it was someone like Adrian Broner there last night doing that, right? You can just imagine they'd be screaming blue murder. Oh, the brash, crass Broner, classless in defeat. You know, but it's a passionate from the heart speech if it's their pal doing it.
Look at Spencer Oliver, man. He was so far up AJ's arse, he was licking his eyeballs last night, for Christ's sake. Oh, you're a great boxer. You outboxed the master boxer. No, he didn't.
It's just further proof that throughout the world, pills are pills are easier to swallow when given to you with a British accent. It's just somehow more soothing. You can drop F-bombs and shit and nobody cares. And by the way, I was like, you got to give it up to Saudi Arabia, who is obviously advanced as a country, didn't flip out on the expletives or Usyk thinking Jesus Christ. So, you got to give the thumbs up there. Also want to give the thumbs up to Has 255, who says, Ruiz hurt AJ, but Usyk destroyed him mentally. I agree with you, and thank you for that 179.
Was it said at the
chat
end on the mic and that? Was it Hezbollah? I can't, it wasn't Hezbollah, sorry. What was it he said? But he tried to say it in a way as like he was like ending a song, like he was singing or something like that.
Bismillah or something.
Bismillah, is that what it was?
I'm
My
not sure
God.
And,
he was trying with that one.
Like to also thank Cedric Sniff for 449. It's a small donation for the people of Ukraine. I don't know what's going on over there, but it's not nice. Hip hip.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Here, Matty, here's one for you. Is it anything to do with Evander Holyfield being at ringside? Think about it. Got his ear bitten off by Tyson. Then the Bo and the fan man. Then Bo in turn went and had the riot with Galotta. Evander's sitting at ringside and it all kicks off, man.
Did you see the picture where Evander Holyfield and the Gad? You can see Holyfield. Who is this creepo, by the way?
I've got it to tell you.
Did you guys notice the way that they had black lights over the crowds and the way it was hitting off of all the people in their traditional Saudi garb? Like, it was very interesting visually. You could tell where the Brits were seated and where the Saudis were seated, just like black light whites. Yeah, good times.
Look at the screen, Matty. Doesn't that just sum the Gad up?
What the fuck? The way the Holyfield's looking at him, and Holyfield has 20 brain cells left, and he's still in a what the fuck moment with this guy.
That's what we think too, Evander. That's what we think too.
He's got. I see. He's got his dungeon key there, mate, for the Tower of London.
Oh yeah.
Aye.
Why does it seem like they're gonna try to start a gay fashion podcast?
Oh no, I wouldn't put it past him.
It just, that's the vibe I'm getting. Eubank Jr. in that vest from last week with Gad. Now that one would be the perfect podcast poster. Let's see here. Well, that was, man, I don't know about that. It was, and I'll tell you what, it's a shame that happened because it was such a, it's such a good handful of fights on there as we'll work through. It was also a weird evening. We'll get to that piece by piece. Philip Hrgovic taking a tight UD over Zhang Jalil or Jalil Zhang. I don't know. You hear it all both ways. In what was a pretty interesting heavyweight fight with lots of different ebbs and flows in the later rounds. It seemed like they're trading back and forth. As one guy would take punishment, try to get their energy back, and then put out the punishment while the other guy got his stuff back up the next round. Really tight decision. I'm not going to complain about it. With Zhang getting that knockdown in the first, which I initially thought was just a cuff, but then, man, Steve, it seemed like Hrgovic got up from that shot and he was on shaky legs. Guess the ref called it right. Close fight, fun enough, beat expectations. You have to probably say that Zhang was being honest about his health issues in the Forest fight.
Oh yeah, he absolutely was. I thought Zhilei Zhang won the fight. I don't see Hrgovic winning. It was close enough that you can't really scream robbery, but maybe I was biased. I'm claiming a W on this because I've said in the past, and I said it in the Boxing Nutters group, I'm sure they can verify, just before the fight started. Am I a mug or am I the only one who thinks Zhang isn't as bad as people think? For a big old lump, he can put his hands together pretty well. He can throw pretty fast shots. He's not the worst, as we'll go into later on, I'm sure, the likes of Nico Ali Walsh. Zhang's not the worst in the world. I had to take issue with the esteemed Aussie Smith last week, who was really scathing about him. I've seen way worse than him. As I said to Andy last night, in the big lump category, you got guys like Ty Fields, with Big Terror or whatever he was called, 6'10". He was absolutely woeful.
Big Sky. Ty
Yeah,
Big Sky.
Big Sky, sorry, that's the one. Yeah, exactly. But Zhang can put his hands together pretty well. I thought at times he looked like he was about to go. He was going to gas out. He gassed out badly down the stretch, which ultimately cost him. But Hrgovic looked like shit as well at times. He was taking flush shots. He showed a bit of character. I think he was concussed, telling us how sexy his wife was. He's right. She's absolutely lovely. But at the same time, I just think that if the Sauerlands are putting their eggs in this basket, they need to reconsider. It could have been an off night. Andy, to be fair, said all along, alongside the likes of Tony Mediocre, Hrgovic is a bit of a big stiff idiot. And if he can't get past the likes of Zhang and bang him out in 3 or 4 rounds, like a lot of people were expecting last night, then where's he going to go from here? Fair play to Zhang. He exceeded expectations. He came off the back of a rough fight with Jerry Forrest, came off the back of renal failure. He had Sean George in his corner, who finished Chris Bird back in the day. And he took the fight when nobody else wanted to take it as well. So I think it comes out as a win for him. But Hrgovic, move on towards world level. Any decent fighter will spark him.
You could be right about that one. But then again, if Zhang is a decent quality fighter, maybe, I like I said, I think he's right below title level. I really do. I think he'd get up there and he'd probably get knocked out by Titleist. But I do think he's right there in the makes with any of the other guys at the B level and could make a decent fight with any of them. He's got enough power that he could pop just about any of them out. But I don't know, Andy, what you think of that fight?
I thought the fight was awful, mate, to be fair. And I wasn't impressed with the way Nishi Sauerland and that crew were actually celebrating it. I thought Zhang won the fight. I thought he came to win at least, especially early doors. I was impressed with how good he was putting his hands together. Although Ozzy was kind of bagging on him a little bit, and that I'm not really a great fan of him either. But he's got moments or runs during fights where he can actually put it together pretty well. Hrgovic, as Steve says, I was at one of his earlier fights, Hrgovic in Latvia. I think it was on the Usyk British undercard, and I seen it then. He's too stiff. There's no variation with him. Now, I've said before that sometimes all you need is the basic 3 punches, and you'll go far in the sport. But he doesn't seem to have the pace. Doesn't seem to kind of match it up. I don't know. It's going to become a problem. Kind of going up the levels. I would think as well. I would not be surprised if Eddie tries to create that Babic fight, to be fair, because Hrgovic isn't going to be fighting for a title anytime soon unless we
He's still my heart.
And I agree with some of what we're saying. I mean, Barry Hearn mentioned, I think it's about 6 years ago, about Joshua fighting Zhang in Bird's Nest Stadium. I mentioned it just at the start of the show there as well, that's a possible option. Makes money, it makes sense as far as Eddie Hearn and that are concerned. So I'm sure he'll have no problem going over there. But as I mentioned to Steve that last night, I think if that's Joe Joyce, he would have mutilated both of those guys last night. Hrgovic and Hrgovic and Zhang. The fact is that so many passed up on Hrgovic as well, and then they come down the rankings to pick up Zhang from what was he ranked? I think he was ranked 15th or whatever it is, or 10th with IBF. That's easy to end up getting his shot, but I'm just not impressed with him, mate, whatsoever. And I say the same about Yoka. Steve's right about that as well. I don't believe Hrgovic is any better than probably at a European level, and that's no disgrace. But as I say, he's no challenge, and they're beating the likes of Usyk, Joyce, Fury, Wilder, people of that ilk, for me at least. So again, it was just an awful spectacle. And you know what it was as well. Toward the end of that fight, it was their conditioning was so bad. I felt that if Hrgovic could sustain something late, he could have stopped him. But at the same time, if Zhang could sustain something late, he could maybe have stopped Hrgovic. That was kind of summed up the fight for me. And then it kind of scorecards, obviously, and to see them as well, as I say, celebrating in the manner of what they were. And I thought, nah, there's no way he won that fight. I thought Zhang won it. But it's the politics, I suppose. I suppose it's his time. Hrgovic's time, I suppose. And maybe Uncle Dan's fixed something out in the background. Who knows?
You never know on that one. As far as the fights on the rest of the card go, Steve, I thought that the Callum Smith Matthew Bauderlique fight was really fun while it lasted. And then Smith just uncorking that left hand at the end. Hell of a shot. He looks so healthy at the weight too, man. I am actually curious about how this guy does against the beast of the division.
Oh, against Beterbiev.
Beterbiev, Bivol, or the Bivol Ramirez winner. Those are going to be DAZN. That's going to be a DAZN fight. You never know.
Well, hopefully they'll make it and just get him out the way. I've lost interest with Callum Smith, to be honest. Although last night put me back on the train a little bit. At least it was entertaining and interesting. He had so many fights after those early knockouts where he just went through the motions, sat on the WBC ranking for seemingly years, and I just completely lost interest in him. And then the performance against Canelo, I know he was weight drained, but it's one of the most pathetic performances in a world title effort of many years. As I say, he hadn't really got much in the tank to threaten Canelo, but it was just completely shocking. And I'd rather see him in fights like against that fella last night, who certainly bought it, came at him. I was disagreeing a little bit again with the late Rob Kelly. He's not dead, just late. Last night, going on about the undercard was shocking. I thought this was pretty fun, actually. The pair of them swung big shots. If Smith can do nothing else, he can punch. And he caught him with that left hook, put him down, caught him again. Bauderlique was way open. He could have boxed defensively and probably lasted a bit longer, but he wanted to come in, put Smith to the test. And it was an exciting shootout. So Smith, this will be his last run towards the top. If and when he gets a world title shot, which he will eventually. We'll see how he gets on. I think he'll retire. He must have made loads of money. Fighting Canelo, fighting the World Boxing Super Series. He'll be all right for a few pounds. And he seems to have done well with Buddy McGirt. They seem to have a nice little relationship with each other. And he's moving on upwards. So good luck to him, I suppose. Fat Smigger in the corner as well. Always good to see old Jim Royal knocking about.
Andy, what are your thoughts on Callum Smith in the 175-pound division? Like I said, he just looks good at the weight. He looks healthy and strong, and he's punching hard.
Yeah, he's looking quite good for it as well, mate. You often wonder as well, maybe if he took the move up a wee bit sooner. But at the same time, he's making the right noises. He's wanting the Beterbiev fight next, but it's going to be next year. So activity, as Eddie mentioned as well, has been something with him as well. So we'd just like to see him a wee bit more active. But if he's going to be fighting the likes of Beterbiev next, and there's like no tune-ups for either party. I'm trying to remember, has Beterbiev not got a obligation to make one of his belts yet? I'm trying to think. Or is it the Anthony Yard fight?
Anthony Yard, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll need to revisit that one potentially before we can get the Callum Smith fight. So Smith's going to need an opponent. Who they get, that's going to be a debate. But as you say, the one thing that I wanted to see for Smith last night, I didn't want to see a boring 12-round decision, and we didn't get that, which was fantastic. And the ending was horrific. Ready to go after the first knockdown. I thought the guy went down and pretty bad. Got up, fair play to him, and still tried to kind of fight on. So fair play to him as well. He didn't come just to pick up a check. So and he paid the price. But this is that's the chances you take. So fair play to Smith. Good performance. But as I says, I think he's going to be waiting a wee while possibly for a world title fight. So who does he face? Who would you pick to make him for a keep busy fight? I mean, Bouts is a non-starter, obviously. Maybe Joe Smith, possibly. Or he's running the risk, really, of maybe losing his ranking if he maybe picks up a defeat. Or
He'll sit on his ranking, I think.
I feel like Joe Smith is done. You're right. He might sit on his ranking. You're doing DAZN. Like I said, the Ramirez Bivol winner is an option there.
Let me check see if that was a eliminator last night. I'm trying to find out if it was for the WBC because I noticed he's ranked number 1.
I think it was. Wasn't Bauderlique the European champion? So it kind of makes sense because they always highly rate the European champion, don't they? The WBC.
Just see here.
Someone has to.
WBC title eliminator. So do we need the the abbreviated version of final eliminator? I know how we like to hear about Eddie likes his eliminators, and WBC like their eliminators and final eliminators. So we need to wait and see if he gets the call. But he's waiting a while, mate. It could be well into the latter half of next year, considering Beterbiev's either injuries and his other obligations and that as well. And then you'll also got the IBF.
Isn't he wrapped up with the with his top rank contract? Wasn't that the last one against Smith?
I don't think so, because it was Bob who was doing the talking about with Frank Warren putting that fight on in the UK, Beterbiev and Yard. I think it was in the UK, was it not, Steve?
Sorry, say that again, Andy. Someone was texting me. What did you say?
Oh, sorry. I think did Bob Arno say that fight was happening in London? Yard against Beterbiev.
Yeah, and then didn't it get postponed or something?
Yeah.
Isn't Beterbiev got some kind of injury issues again?
Yeah, I think he's needing. I don't know if he's needing surgery or whatever it is, but he's for what I was hearing it last night, he is definitely not back until next year. So that could be February, it could be March.
That's a shame. That's something that just needs to get cleared up, I think, and then we
Yep.
can move on.
Yeah, he's not getting any younger either.
So again, it's just about activity for Smith. I mean, it's just staying active, staying sharp, that type of thing. If he's wanting to make a legit target run at a world title, I mean, you've got Bivol Zurdo coming up. So if Bivol wins that, that's a mandatory defence, right? Canelo still to revisit that rematch, but maybe never actually. So there's a potential fight for him because he's ranked 3 with the WBA. So he can maybe get a chance of fighting Bivol, and it's a more technical fight for him really as well. So that's an interesting matchup.
Just on the fight last night, Tosh, I was only half watching it, to be honest. What I saw was it was a good fight. Tosh says there was a 4-minute round, apparently.
I was going to get to that.
Jack fight,
I'm
sure.
Yeah.
Oh, was that Badu Jack, was it?
Yeah, I was going to get to that at Overachievers.
Mhm.
It's, yeah, I even had a whole speech prepared to go into it, and you fucked it up.
Oh,
You fucked
sorry.
it up. Yeah, I was going to talk about, in any other boxing event, the weirdest thing that would happen would be a 4-minute round, but yeah, there was a 4-minute round in the 8th in the fight between Badu Jack and Richard Rivera.
Imagine that was your only job to do, though. Ring a bell after 3 minutes. That's the only thing you've got to do in your life. Ring that bell after 3 minutes, mate. That's all you got to do. And he still can't do it. What was he doing?
I thought that Rivera was winning that 8th round in a very close fight. And then about 10 seconds left to go. Badu Jack uncorks that left hand, sends him going to the ropes. And you got to think the timekeeper must have been really into the fight or something. He's like, shit. And it took him a while to realize, what's going on. It ended up going a total of 3 minutes and 58 seconds. Really nip and tuck fight. It was a split decision, 1 round away from being another draw on Badu Jack's record. Did you catch this fight, Steve?
Yeah, not enough to see the 4-minute round though. Watched the first 6 rounds with interest, and I thought Rivera was doing well. He was a bit of a character. We knew he was called Popeye the Sailor Man. He knocked out a lot of people. Nobody near Jack's standing, but Jack's always good for getting a draw out of the hands of defeat. So I don't know what's going to happen with him. He fought in Abu Dhabi as well before, so he seems to be getting on these circus undercards. But as for Rivera, yeah, bit of a character.
Another friend of Uncle Dan.
They're very much talking about him versus Akoli.
Oh, genuinely, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Who?
that. Jack.
Did you drag it against Okoli?
Yeah, he's a cruiserweight now.
That was not even a contest, that mate.
Yeah,
that's awful.
He's gonna get hurt, man. In that one, I think he's gonna get hurt bad.
No, that's a poor fight.
Yeah, it's a very poor fight. So, yeah. Did you catch that one, Andy?
No, mate. I think that was on very early, so it was running about dinner time for me, and that's so I was obviously kind of mucking about that type of thing. So I caught the result. I seen our man in the ring with his Popeye hat on and his pipe, saying decent things. Seems pretty about a character. Probably will come again, get another opportunity of some sort. But Steve said, obviously, I can't comment on the fight, but I'm not surprised. Considering what I've watched Badu Jack in the past, split decision victories or a draw here and there, that type of thing, just seems to do enough not to win a fight, or in this instance, just does enough to kind of get it over the line. So yeah, that Okoli fight just does nothing for me. Does nothing for. I don't think it does anything for anybody. To be fair, actually, how the fuck he has got himself? I've just pulled up the rankings. He's ranked number 2 with WBO. How the fuck he's got himself there? I have no idea. Well, I do. I've got an idea. Sorry, but I'll probably leave it there. Fucking number 2.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird, right? But that seems to be some weirdness going on there. What are you gonna do? Let's see here. There's a couple more on that card. Bear with me. It's unbelievable. We had, what's crazy is we had so many fights yesterday, and then we had basically nothing coming up this week. They all just jammed it into one day. So let's see here. Steve, did you catch the women's fight on there? I'm struggling to think of the gal's name for some reason. I had it down
Oh,
here. I
Ali.
just yeah, she uncorked a right hand on that gal, knocked her mouthpiece out in the first round, and that was that. That was that.
I only saw the highlights now, to be honest, of her beating the shit out of the girl. I think it was a first rounder as well.
That was it. I mean, that was basically the fight, Steve, was that fucking right hand. There's a little bit going on, but I mean, then she just came over the top with that right hand. I saw the mouthpiece go flying. Chick's on the ground, and the ref's looking at her, and she ain't getting up. She had the look of fuck this in her eyes.
It was the weekend of the finishes for the Ali clan. We had Ramla Ali, Nico Ali Walsh. Why don't we just stick them in against each other next time? I'm all for equality. And let's go, man. Then I get some viewers up.
Well, I'll tell you that Ramla Ali, what's interesting about her is she's also a fashion model, Steve. And we might have the most attractive fight in the history of women's boxing on the horizon, both competing at 122, her and Sky Nicholson.
Yeah, that'll be good. Shout out to her as well. Fashion model. I haven't bought any new clothes in about 10 years, Matty, so I'm the wrong person to ask about fashion.
Well, yeah, my fashion is what it is. I don't know. Not even here to just describe that. But it seems like they're actually working towards that fight. We got another super chat in there. Thank you to Michael McElwee. 449. Sky gave Eubank Sr. a 10-fight deal and filled it with bums to recover the outlay. Eddie about to do the same with AJ to earn for DAZN.
Woo!
You might be right. And I mean, Eddie, we laugh at him, but he still made money as far as Matchroom goes on that event yesterday. So I mean, that is what it is. But I mean, we're looking at a future of AJ, fighting kind of these, like top 15, top 10 kind of heavyweights in very winnable fights. I think, just kind of picking up who they can here and there. Do you disagree, Andy?
No, I don't. Mean they need to rebuild his confidence. If he's going to be coming out soon, it's not going to be against a big puncher or killer. And I'm just pulling up the heavyweight rankings just now, see if I can pick something out of here. Well, Parker's tied up. I wouldn't go anywhere near Frank Sanchez, to be fair, although there's still a lot to be seen about him. They could maybe fight Otto Wallen, but is he not a southpaw as well? Maybe could cause a bit of problem. A Dillian White rematch, possibly. The big Canadian guy, the Akhmedov, he's right pickings for a knockout, so that could be an easy roll over that one, possibly.
One of them boys is signed with Top Rank, haven't they? I don't think it was Akhmedov, was it? Which one was it now?
Was it Sanchez?
No, one of the Azerbaijans or Uzbekistanis or something.
Is it
Akhmedov?
Possibly, mate. Or there's another one because is it Zhang Kuzbetsky as well? He's kicking about.
No,
there
it
as
wasn't
well.
Kosabetsky. I think he's with Frank Warren. There was a press release come through during the week, and it doesn't really matter. I'm pretty sure Bob had picked up one of them boys anyway.
Yeah. And then you then coming down into your kind of European tier level, mate. You're talking like Tony Mediocre. You're looking to Dempsey McKean. I think he's Australian, but again, he's very early in his pro career at this point. Leonard Perro, I think he's a Colombian, possibly Venezuelan. Decent amateur background, good pedigree. I think he might even be in the Olympics as well. We'll mention Bacoli. We'll throw him in there. I dare say that drum will get him banged short. I think Billy, maybe we want to try and get that fight made. I don't know what's happening with Huey. We could put a line under that possibly as well. Joe Joyce tied up. Wilder, we'll want to see it at some point in the future. Chisora, no thanks.
It's going to happen. You know it. You know it.
Possibly,
yep.
Mate.
Here we are, Andy. Sorry to interrupt you. A top-ranked signed heavyweight monster, Arslanbek Makhmudov, 6 days ago.
Right, there you go. So, I don't know if Eddie would do business with Uncle Bob then, so that maybe is another name. I think they'll look at I think they might look at... See, they could spin the Zhang situation by saying, look, listen, he got robbed. It was bullshit, and he should have won the fight. All that type of nonsense to make the fight in China. But how did they sell that guy, really, to be honest with you, to like the Western public to fucking buy that fight, or do they just rely on AJ kind of like being this marketable star who's going to pull in the crowd? Who knows? It's just slim pickings, I think, mate, to be honest with you. Again, as I say, he needs to get something easy, a kind of knockover job, get the confidence built back up, and bide his time for his opportunity, because the belts could get fragmented. I think if Tyson vacates the WBC, then it creates a mini vacuum. And if Fury is absolutely adamant that he's retired, then Usyk's going to do the same, and the belts become vacant. The breakup, and everybody else is going to be kind of like campaigning to try and get a vacant belt. So a lot of things to play out still. We'll wait and see.
Michael Wrigley throwing 449 in there, and he says, "Hip hip."
Hooray!
Thank you, Andy. The rest of the guys let me down there, including the guy who bust rhymes from Saudi to Mojave, rapping Rob Kelly up in this mug.
I only chime in. I only chime in for hip hop array, not hip hip array. So
And I had 1993, one of my first 5 albums I had as a child.
there you go. Good choice.
Thank you. How's it going today, Rob? Are you doing all right mentally from watching AJ's breakdown yesterday, or did it hammer you in a painful way?
Well, I think I needed the day to digest it. Like I don't know. Like I was having a few drinks last night watching it, and it was all unfolding. Fight kind of played out similarly to we all predicted, bar the stoppage from Usyk. I guess small improvements from AJ. Some kind of attempt to make it into a dogfight and let his balls hang at some stage, but a load of the same shit that we saw the last time. And then the post fight rant was just epic, man. I don't think I mean I want to say I was surprised that it happened, but I wasn't really surprised even as it was happening. I was like, shit, he's this is kind of expected, but he's going a bit long here, like. And then you could see Eddie scrambling in the background or whatever. But I think again, like, after thinking about it for a while, like I said before, made the kind of comparison to AJ's career being run like a sports franchise, like, and it's managed to. There's so many people making so much money off the back of him. It's nobody in the immediate circle had the balls to go and get the microphone off him and say, "Man, enough!" Like, or put their arm around him and say, "AJ, leave it, man." Do you know what I mean? Just take your beating and go out gracefully. Like, that concept hasn't entered his head whatsoever. Of all the people around him, the humble approach, this Mr. Stay humble, be humble. The humble approach would have been to do shake hands with Usyk, walk out, to give your post-fight interview, walk out the ring, go the fuck home. And listen, I don't want to say that the guy is not suffering from mental health problems. I think that's been abundantly clear since his big Meech meltdown, where he actually started to talk in different accents and everything when he was in front of the camera. I think that's been abundantly clear. But what I'm not going to have from Eddie Hearn, to quote the great Simon Jordan, Eddie might want to wind his neck in a little bit. Eddie's in the post-fight press conference last night, passionately defending AJ, as you would expect from Hearn, right? That's his guy. He's backed him. But Eddie knows how
I'm biased, Umar.
Yeah, but Eddie knows that he has managed the franchise to this point. It's been like he was giving off Colonel Parker and the Elvis vibes last night, because he's like, all these people on social media tonight who are dickheads and they want to say stuff about Anthony Joshua. He's a guy that I want my kids to look up to. Give me a fucking break, man. And what do you want for AJ? I want him to be happy first and foremost, but he's got to be active. Colonel Parker vibes all the way. If you want him to be happy, you should have pulled him away after the first fucking Usyk fight and not rushed him straight into fight Usyk in an immediate rematch, because he had no shot at winning and everybody knew it. Everybody with a fucking brain cell knew that he wasn't going to beat Usyk the second time out. He needed time with a new trainer if it was going to go that way. Have a couple of other fights and build himself back up. But no. You were waiting on the big DAZN paycheck and you needed him back out with all the belts on him to make this deal make sense. And now look what we have. So you're all worried about AJ's mental health when it suits you, but when it really counts, you're pushing him out there to earn a pound no for you, and you'll continue to do that. So if you're really worried about AJ's mental health, man, maybe the fucking advice would be for the guy to retire. He obviously can't handle the pressure at the top. It's getting to him. We saw the thing with Danny Garcia a little while back. It's not funny, really, if he's going through it, if he's genuinely going through it. But I think the display, personally, I think it's convenient now to talk about mental health when he gave a display of petulance at the highest degree last night from a guy who just behaved like a diva, because he had no concept of humility or grace or staying humble in defeat. That didn't even enter his head. And this is the second time he's pulled that stunt in the ring after the fight, by the way. Yeah, he did it again before, makes it all about himself. So he feels entitled to not only fucking steal the moment of his opponents, but not even consider them in the moment. He's lost and he better speak on it now. So it was funny watching it, and that it's kind of tragic looking at it back. But I'm not going to have Eddie Hearn preaching from the fucking moral pulpit about defending fighters' mental health. Eddie Hearn don't give a shit about anything other than a pound note, and that's a fact. So I'm not saying he's not close to Anthony Joshua, but Eddie knows he managed the franchise when Tyson Fury was gone away, right? Tyson, and skeptics and critical thinkers as we are, I think Tyson Fury's mental health blowout could be fucking scrutinized as well. Absolutely. But whatever way he ended up in that state, he got himself there, and AJ was the direct beneficiary, fighting fellas who weren't champions to scoop up vacant belts and portray him like he was the second coming of Muhammad Ali in a white dressing gown. And we've been saying on the pod for all this time, he's just not that good. Eddie played a blinder managing the franchise to build him up to this point. But every time you get him to this point, this thing is going to happen to him. This is going to happen to him because he's just not good enough. There's no shame in being able to beat Usyk. It is what it is. But I think the guy needs time away from the sport, to be honest with you. I really think he needs time away from the sport.
See, the other thing as well, Rob, see, there was something similar after the first fight, wasn't it? Against Usyk. There was red flags going all over the place. It was he was in great condition
right, yeah.
for that demand. Too many. He's serving too many masters. Too many people he's got to feed. Did you see the entourage picture that he took last night with the full team? There was about fucking 30 people on that. 30 people, and they're all getting some bread off him.
Of course they are. And I don't know. I think there was signs of that the wheels falling off in the post fight Usyk the first time. All this. What was this shit about? I tried to box the boxer. I tried to be a master boxer. Man, no, you didn't. Like, you just were conserving your gas tank. Nobody believes that you were trying to box Usyk. You just fucking couldn't get near him because he was moving around, and that's what was happening. You were running out of breath. And, look, I don't want to completely sound like I'm not an AJ hater. I'm just a realist, and I can't buy hype. There's a big. Do you remember early in his career he used to get a second gas tank? Do you remember that? He used to look a bit windy and then he'd come back with a big resurgence of energy.
Yeah.
That was before
knocking out all-time greats in the 11th round.
Vada test, mate.
That was before he was enrolled in the 365 Vada test, and so there could be something to deduct from that. But listen, I hope the guy's okay, man. You can have all the money in the world, and if your head's not right, what good is it to you? So I genuinely hope the guy is okay. But I do think, I'm a bit cynical about his impassioned pleas to care about his mental health, where he's posting pictures of himself crying on Twitter today. You know what I mean? He has the exact.
There's been
That's what teenage girls do when people break up with them.
There has been instances in the past where Josh has been given interviews. I'm trying to remember what fight it was in that, but there was a sign. He was like saying, people are telling me to fight this person and that person. Let everybody fight each other. All that type of stuff. It showed to me then there was the pressure of being on top as it was getting hard to maintain. As I said, too many masters to serve. All these adverts, making money left, right, and center. Look, that's great. Life's short. Make all the cash you can get. But as I say, you've had Barry Hearn telling us, force feeding us the greatest jab since Larry Holmes, the greatest chin since Ali, the greatest right hand since Rocky Marciano. And we were saying it for day dot, and we're trying to come across. We're not the only ones, for God's sake. But I
think we were in the minority though, Andy. At one stage, I do believe we were in the minority in calling out AJ's bullshit early. A lot of people and a lot of respectable boxing heads were really on board. And not that you shouldn't be. He's an English guy, whatever. If you're from England, you might want him to be the heavyweight champion. And do you know what I mean? Like, I can understand people getting by domestic fighters. He's a success story. He is an ambassador for the sport as well, Eddie. But listen. That's another thing I wanted to address. Eddie saying that, this is a guy who's an ambassador for the sport. No, we don't necessarily know if he is. That's the PR representative. The PR representative is an ambassador for the sport, but he gets handsomely paid for everything that he does in terms of being an ambassador for the sport. He's got endorsements coming out the fucking wazoo. He is a commercial machine. But his display last night, I had under 11s. Playing a friendly match. Some of them decided to start mouthing off to the team that just beat him, and I absolutely went through them because you're supposed to do your talking on the pitch. If AJ was wanting to do something, he should have fucking saved that energy for the ring, not for the 30-minute fucking run back to the ring and the 15-minute monologue that he had afterwards.
He got his second win.
Yeah, that was his second win after the fucking fight was over. But the time for talking. Steve said it a couple of weeks ago. It was a brilliant point. We were talking about somebody. I can't remember who it was. We were talking about, maybe it was Conor Benn or someone. But ultimately, always, you find out the answers in the ring, right? And we've seen it what AJ is about in the ring now. It's played out more than once. And the time for action was then. Not in the aftermath. And not this. I don't want to hear about this is all for the birds. I don't want to hear him talking in the post fight about I only had 50 amateur fights. So what, motherfucker? You had 3. You're the 2-time heavyweight champion. You've held 3 belts at one time. That ship has sailed. You can't use that as an excuse anymore. Stop clutching at straws. Don't be bringing up his amateur background now. After he was on the verge of a third world title last night. Give me a break, like.
Just on the pressure aspect of it as well. I mean, look, we're talking about Eddie saying, "Oh, he needs to be active. He maybe be back out before the end of the year." But if he's outburst, we'll call it that rather than a fucking mental breakdown, because we don't know. It's probably just upset. Maybe it is mental health. We don't know. But if that is his reaction to being under severe pressure, then he needs a long break. He doesn't need to be fighting. But he's serving too many masters now. He's now the brand ambassador, I believe it is, for DAZN. Can you imagine the fucking first board meeting in DAZN as the brand ambassador walks in? Hey, I don't fucking throw punches like Rocky Marciano. I'm 18 stone, not fucking 14 stone. You know what I'm saying? So
what's that about? Like, has he ever seen Rocky Marciano fight?
Exactly. That's what I said to you guys. I don't know what fucking combinations does he throw. But
the
look,
Susie Q. What does he mean by that? Like, it's all very, very, very odd. It's all very odd.
We said that after the Ruiz fight, Heavy lies the crown of the heavyweight champion. Look, Fury struggled as being champion as well. Usyk's had his problems. I mean, fuck's sake, his country's under siege. His house got fucking bombed, for Christ's sake. His fucking whole family's living in a foreign country just now. So he's under pressure. He's managed to hold his shit together. And if this is Joshua now cracking under the pressure, trying to get his title back, I believe he should take some time away rather than having to fucking serve the Masters, meet his obligations, because at the end of the day, it's his health that's on the line here. And if he's not fully mentally fit, he goes into a ring. I mean, we saw it with Omar Figueroa there last night. Apparently he's bipolar, he's on meds. Well, he fucking fought like he was on meds, man, to be fair. So, we've got to think about this aspect of it as well,
I thought it was really interesting when Maddie. I thought it was really interesting. Hearn was asked last night. They said, and of course, like, I don't know what these journalists will be thinking as well, because there's no chance of this fight getting made. Like, but we're saying Deontay Wilder for AJ next, and he's like, yeah, great fight, a lot of money to that fight. You got guys like Dillian White also. So.
Fucking and Eddie, sorry, Matt, just to finish off, I know you want to move on, but Eddie, he kind of got on, robbed me a good couple of points about the trolls and all this type of thing. But who was it that Eddie was actually kind of complaining about? That was about Shirley Finkel. Remember, he was trolling him, calling him all the names under the sun and Al Heyman and all this. The next thing,
if you're a dude named Shelley, I mean,
but the thing is, though, mate, that's what Eddie was doing. He was trolling, people in the sport. So he doesn't like
Shirley Winkle.
He doesn't like it when it gets fired back in his court. And to have Simon Jordan, aka the GOAT since MJ, Michael Jordan, to come out and just say it as it is. He's pushing the envelope. He needs to wind his neck in a wee bit. Says you've got no right to be moralising with people about how they should be running their own business and that type of thing, because you will go anywhere at any time to make a fucking greenback. If it makes cash, it makes sense, and that's all Eddie cares about, because his cards have been showing it as well. He's complaining about when they left Sky, for example, when he used to say, we're barely wiping our arses here. Sky need to be like giving promoters a percentage, for like selling out a show, for example. So it wasn't making him enough cash to stay with Sky. And the way he's going to end up in that is, I said to you before, I don't think he'll be in the sport for much longer, to be fair, once the Joshua deal dries up.
David Palmer throwing 10 pounds in there about 10 minutes ago. Exactly, saying, woo! Thank you very much, David. It's just, I don't know. It's all weird, very weird. I hope that, AJ doesn't do anything.
What about the old granddad, by the way, poor cunt? Getting shouted at by Anthony Joshua like that. Must have shot his fucking...
Was that the ref from the Zhang Hrgovic fight he was shouting at?
I've no idea, mate.
It was, I think that was the referee from the heavyweight.
What did they say
fight. He said the referee said to AJ about being professional, didn't he?
I think he was trying to pay him a compliment, I think, wasn't he? He was like, way to keep it professional.
Keep it professional, he said, yeah, that's right.
AJ was like, what you say, bruv? What?
Yeah, that's what he said. It was I don't know. It was just a very, very fucked up thing, and this is why boxing keeps us entertained. Just more ammo for the next new intro, right, Steve? Just sound clips galore.
Gathering them together.
Coming over stateside. Speaking of mental health, earlier this week, Adrian Broner dropping out of the fight. He was probably doing the math on how much he was going to earn after he paid his back child support, and he just didn't have the will to
He
go
was in the
through
club
with it.
this week.
You're fist fucking me.
I'm telling you, he was on Instagram in the club, taking pictures, boozing away. So
What a cunt.
honestly, I'm saying to myself, look, you've barely, he got himself back into a primetime TV slot, top of the card, fucks it up. I mean, look, Heyman and Espinosa are his last two friends in boxing, by the sounds of it. They have kept him relevant. They've kept his money for him, and they've kept him in their thoughts, really, by evidence of being on that Showtime card until he pulls out. But after this latest fucking debacle, they've got to be thinking to themselves, he's unreliable, he's washed, he's finished, he's not going to make another run at it. They can't keep giving him these chances. He's unreliable.
Well, I kind of feel bad for Figueroa, too, because I actually think Figueroa has the perfect style to beat Adrian Broner. Not perfect, but he's so active, and Broner doesn't throw enough. I thought it was kind of there for him. Sergey Lipinets hopping in on late notice, instantaneously a favorite. Fucking got to spend 3 to make 1 on him. Came in, dropped Figueroa in the second round with an overhand right, proceeded to waylay him for the next 6 rounds until between the 8th and the 9th. The plug was pulled. Thank God. Figueroa in bad shape. That was a one-sided fight.
That's the best thing you can say.
Lipinets back at 140. Could play in the division. He did look sharp, but fuck me, Figueroa. Andy, that was bad.
He's washed me. I'd only learned the last couple of days he's actually got bipolar. So he's on medication for it. So I know at least one person who's on drugs for that. And how the fuck they can get anything done in life, man? They look so tired, so slow. Just seems to fuck up your cognitive state sometimes. So how they even let him box? Never mind complete a training camp. To be fair to him, and he's made weight. So fair play to him, But as you said, that was just it was just bad to see. This just shouldn't have. Maybe against Broner, that he's not active as such. He could have done something, but that was just bad to see, mate. That knockdown was pretty heavy. It kind of caught with his neck like that as well. He looked super slow. 8 jabs the whole fight. And it just was a sign of a guy who just wasn't there at all, either mentally or physically, to me. And it's just sad to see it. And this is what I'm saying. If it is true that he's got bipolar and he's on meds for it and he's in the ring, that's a fucking bad place to be, mate. And the last thing you should be doing if you've got mental health problems is taking punches to the head. So I'm sorry, mate. He shouldn't have been fighting there last night. It was awful to see that.
Yeah, and and after the Abel Ramos fight, I mean that was a pretty similar fight, right? I mean he did a very, very similar performance. Came in there and tried it. You get used to being a weight bully, Steve, and you don't know how to fight any other way. I mean, I look back and that fight he had with Ricky Burns, great fight. The fight he had with Nahito Arakawa, what an exceptional fight in that one. But those ones he was fighting smaller fighters, same style. He might have won those fights, but he didn't knock him out. And it just seems like he doesn't have any game other than trying to overwhelm his opponents. And these bigger guys just beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, he's not going to overwhelm Lipinets. You mentioned about the weight as well. I agree with you, actually. Lipinets was too small for welterweight. We all knew that. This is just a better place for him to be. And I noticed beforehand, whenever they were going in the changing rooms during the co-support, Lipinets in his changing room beforehand, was just throwing right hand after right hand on the pads of his trainer. It was Justin Fortune. He was an Aussie heavyweight. People might remember him. He fought Lennox Lewis back in the day in Dublin, but he was holding the pads, big guy, and Lipinets was just right hand after right hand. That was definitely the shot they were going for. As you mentioned, it was the tactic. It was just a precursor of what was to come. And Figueroa, he kept getting hit over and over again with the same shots. He just had no idea what was coming. The body shots as well. He looked fleshy. His style's so awkward, but he's just there to be hit all the time. Lipinets was a lot more technically sound. Nice jab. Whenever he's not fighting monsters like John Ennis, he's a good fighter. And Figueroa, he likes the volume, the pressure, a bit of weight bullying, but Lipinets was able to match that kind of work. And let's make this the last time we see Figueroa, I think, at this kind of level. I'm not sure what else he's going to do with himself, apart from keeping, the local bars in business, but he's just a shell of his former self. And that former self was also relatively easy to hit clean. He's not doing himself any favours, as Andy said, getting punched in the head for a living. And these two were supposed to fight. Well, Broner and Figueroa were supposed to fight about 4 years ago. And I think Figueroa was the one who pulled out there. So he's not much better than Broner in this respect. They've done it on each other. They might try and make the fight again. Might end up in a kind of Mickey Bay, Tevin Farmer kind of circus fight. But I'll tell you something as well, Matty, before I close up here. I'm a fan and a defendant at times of the PBC. But my God, that venue and crowd looked absolute shit last night, man. Looked like a high school gym they were fighting in. Even Espinoza was on his phone, and he's the one who's promoting it and broadcasting it. So yeah, it wasn't a great look all round.
Where was that card from? I couldn't even remember.
Florida, I think.
Florida. It was some sort of Seminole casino or something like that in Florida.
Even Broner couldn't be bothered turning up. That's how bad it was.
Broner's on the club, baby. He's on that cash app.
Yeah, but hopefully Figueroa's done. Can't see somebody getting hurt like that. A fight that I did not catch on that card as I was watching everything up this morning was the fight between Puello and Akhmedov. Andy, you said you caught that one?
I caught most of it, mate. I switched off after about 8 rounds because I had to go out on my niece's birthday. So, for what I can recall, Puello was technically quite good, straight shots, but he was doing a lot of his work off the back foot. I think it got quite tightened up on the scorecards. I think there was like a bit of complaints that Puello won that fight 117, 111. More like run about the 115, 130 either side scorecard, people were saying. As I said, I've missed the last 4 rounds, but for what I read, Akhmedov was starting to kind of come on strong a wee bit toward the end, so maybe make it a wee bit kind of tighter on the scorecards. But what I saw, at least, I think Puello was one of those Dominicans, like he's with Sean Boxing Promotions, so looks technically decent, as I said in that, but he does a lot of his work off the back foot, so I can maybe see why a lot of his fights obviously either go the distance or, I think there's been some of the cards have been quite wide, so he has got skills, he can outbox his opponents, but I think he maybe struggles with guys who maybe give him a wee bit of pressure and just kind of keep the heat on him a wee bit. So I'm interested to see him, 140, got a belt of some sort as well now, I believe. It was a vacant WBA belt.
WBA, one of Taylor's, yeah.
Is it? Oh, sorry, mate. I forgot it was that belt. So I don't know how legit you want to call that, because the Taylor's still, Catro's probably the man, shall we say, at the weight, but you know what I mean. Just a decent enough fighter. We'll just need to see how he goes. But I didn't catch it all, but Akhmedov partly wasn't disgraced.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good fight for the whole 12 rounds. It was a tight fight. It was a real grinding fight. The two of them were going in back and forward. Puello started retreating to the ropes, but he was landing the uppercut well, landing the jab. Akhmedov never stopped coming. The scorecards were out of order. Puello, though, he was part of this farcical WBA ploy. Andy touched upon the world title there. They had to present a case for each fighter to get a title shot. I think O'Hara Davis was involved, a group of other people. Yeah,
5 or 6 of them, eh?
Yeah, that's right. Puello was actually the mandatory at the time. So, I mean, he shouldn't have had to create a case whatsoever. So he eventually got the shot. Akhmedov had fought Mario Barrios before, pushed him very close and got the shot. But, I mean, he's a nice, neat, compact fighter, Puello. And I'm really glad he won. The one thing I picked up from this fight, actually, was fair play to Puello afterwards, right? He gave Akhmedov and his team the cutthroat treatment, and it was getting a bit rowdy there, and he had every right to, because Akhmedov, before the fight started, Akhmedov refused to touch gloves beforehand after the referee pushed them together, which isn't the biggest crime in the world, fair enough, but I just kind of think just let it go. And then at the end, Puello went over to him to try and congratulate him. Akhmedov just chest bumped him out the way, went straight up to the corner and just completely blanked him when Puello tried to embrace him. I thought, this Akhmedov, what's going on here? And then, apparently, the story was there was a bit of beef between these two camps. That's why Puello was putting it on him, because when Akhmedov first came over from the Dominican Republic, he tried to train with Joel Diaz, who refused to train Puello. Basically, he said he was shit and he had no talent. And there he is. And Puello won last night, stuck it right to both of them, got a bit ugly for a second or two. Good on him too, because he got the win and he proved them wrong, so he stuck it right up him.
I might need to go and watch the rest of that fight then, mate. That sounds right up my Pedraza.
Did you think that was a just decision?
I think the decision was okay. It was just the margin of the scorecards. Yeah. I think they were far too wide. That was the problem. I don't see a problem with. I think it was what you liked with the styles, because Puello, even though he was on the back foot, I think he was blocking a few shots and he was landing a few good shots, and I wouldn't have argued either way. They were just too wide.
It was like 2 and 3 punch combo, Stevie, and then he was like stepping back, just kind of out of punching distance, and then he was maybe doing again. it was something. Who's it? I think it was Andre Ward that mentioned there last night. It's like, see, like pure boxers, they generally don't get the respect. Either like guys like ourselves watch the fight, or maybe even the judges. They seem to love. I love aggressive fighters, right? But at the same time, as you go to kind of score what you're watching, so I just think a lot of judges score or kind of prefer aggressive fighters compared to pure talented box guys like Campillo, Andre Ward,
Miguel Vasquez.
Vasquez have tried to fuck over Floyd Mayweather, Canelo, the 114 scorecard. There's other ones that just kind of come to me just now, obviously. Usyk tried to kind of job him, with the scorecards in the first fight against Joshua. They were far, far too close, type of thing. So I just think sometimes the pure boxers have got to do it in emphatic fashion just to kind of get a good result, because it seems to be as these aggressive fighters tend to get more, not so much more, but they probably get a wee bit kind of more fair shake in the cards than what some of the pure boxers do, I think.
Yeah, I think Akhmedov did well and he landed a lot of shots. It was just down to what you liked. A lot of his flurries were landing, especially to the body. But Puello's shots were hard. You could hear them whipping in, thudding in, and every time he looked like he was about to be overwhelmed, he came back with big shots. So I have no problem with him getting a decision. As I said, it was just too wide.
How do you guys think Lipinets versus Puello plays out?
I think that'd be a good fight, actually. Yeah, absolutely. Lipinets is a lot more experienced, good jab. The right hand would come into play.
Sturdy as well, isn't he?
Make it happen for sure.
I think it's a kind of similar fight to what we've seen last night, possibly. I think Lipinets probably brings the pressure, and you have Puello trying to kind of do it all off the back foot. So I think it's another close competitive fight, that.
I'd probably favour Lipinets just on experience, but Puello impressed me last night, actually. He'd waited a long time for the chance as well, and the fact that he stuck it back up to him, I like that.
Yeah, he was an underdog. He was in that one. So Akhmedov was paying about as much as Usyk was. So nice little underdog victory there for him. A guy who wasn't an underdog, as I suspected and was hoping for, because I thought that there was a good chance here. Unfortunately, no. Everybody saw it, apparently. We're not that smart, Steve. Hector Garcia picking up a UD over Roger Gutierrez with brilliant footwork, exceptional left hands. He would alternate from fighting off the back foot to coming forward. He winning by cards 117, 111 twice, 118, 110 with Gutierrez having a few moments of success late. Man, this guy coming to that Colbert fight out of nowhere, and what a talented son of a bitch he is.
Yeah, I was impressed with him against Colbert. I don't know if I was impressed with him against Gutierrez, because unfortunately I wasn't clever enough to be able to see this fight. Couldn't get a copy of it, or the Brandon Lee one. I only saw the main two fights, unfortunately, on this Showtime card.
That's right. Well, I saw that one, and yeah, Garcia, great fight. Gutierrez, a strong fighter, but styles make fights. Garcia is definitely not a Rene Alvarado. Hopefully, Gutierrez finds other success. He's a good fighter at 130 pounds. I like him. Brandon Lee, getting dropped hard in the third round. Madeira almost taking him out, coming on heavy in the early fourth. Lee able to pull his way out of it, winning a wide, clear, unanimous decision. Take it one of two ways. Is he very vulnerable, or has he gotten that little bit of extra experience he needs to maybe take it to the next level?
I see the experience, mate, because I think he needed something like that, to be fair. I didn't see the fight. I seen the knockdown. It did look pretty heavy. Was it a body shot?
No, right hand over the top.
Was it right hand over the top? Just whatever was I seen on Twitter and that, but
lazy jabs, same old story,
Yeah, he's only 23 at the end of the day. I said he can't be blasting everybody out, but he needs. That's the last two fights he's been dragged the distance and that. But it's kind of things like that he needs. Maybe a wee wake up call. Maybe goes back to the gym now and just starts upping it a wee bit more. Who knows?
Yeah, it's we'll see. He still has a heck of a punch. He cut Madeira up pretty bad. Still had to go the distance. He's gone the distance his last couple fights. But we'll see where he goes. Another person in that 140-pound division that can make some interesting fights. And then over on the top ranked card, Oscar Navarrete basically losing the first 5 rounds against Eduardo Baez before uncorking a sweet left hook to the body, finishing it off. Looked huge in there. Bradley said he looked like about a welterweight in there. But just fantastic stuff to finish that fight off. Baez definitely outperforming expectations until that shot came through. Steve, you saw this one, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I concur with
right.
everything you say. Yeah, Navarrete is a big dude. He was very active last year, and then this year I think he hasn't been as active. I think he's been out the ring for nearly a year, but I like to see him. He's a puncher. As you said, he was being given the runaround by Baez, who's a decent fighter, not a big puncher at all, but the knockdown for me was quite funny. He took a bit of a body shot, didn't he, Baez, and then he kind of stayed up for a couple of seconds, and he took one down to one knee, looked across, then all of a sudden he descended onto his arse, then he went onto his back, and then the next thing he was looking all around him in place, and the pain was just growing gradually by the second, and I take it must have just been an absolute cracker of a body shot. Great finish, but yeah, it was just funny the way we saw him go down in installments, and he gradually just got worse and worse, the poor fellow. And he's a tough nut, so there's nothing to suggest that he was looking out. But yeah, it was a bit of a strange ending, I thought.
Didn't Navarrete just look huge in there?
He's massive, yeah.
I think he needs to move up, to be fair. I don't know how long he can keep making that weight. He must be seriously depleting himself, leaving something on the scales to try to make that weight. He's fucking massive.
The problem is the guy I want him to fight is at 122 right now, and I think Fulton's going to fight Akhmedov before he fights anyone else, probably. And they're different promoters. But if he moved up the next fight, maybe he could get Shakur Stevenson.
Mate, Shakur would beat the hell out of him. Based off that there last, I thought he looked very basic, very ordinary. I only caught most of
I
it.
don't think those words describe him at all, Andy. He is so unconventional and weird. I mean, basic and ordinary are not Navarrete. He might be technically awful and sloppy, but he's not ordinary.
Defense was flawed as well, but as I said, I think Stevenson would beat the absolute shit out of him. What weight Stevenson at 130? Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's 130, isn't it? Aye, so this is interesting to see if he move up that. But he is a problem for most guys. As you say, Matt, he's long. He's very, very awkward. But I just thought there was moments in that fight he was actually getting outboxed. Am I wrong?
No, he was. No, he lost. He lost probably at least 4 of the first 5 rounds, if not all of them.
But did he not lose rounds against Ruben Villa as well? Do you remember that fight he had as well? Villa won plenty of rounds. We just kept getting knocked down all the time.
Look at his record and how many stoppages he has past 8 rounds, too. It's incredibly cuts that much weight, and he has a motor. But the guy is there all fight, and that's what makes the Stevenson fight interesting. Is I think he's going to be even more comfortable at 130 pounds. So his gas tank will probably be better. And Navarrete is going to be there all fight long.
Thing was, though, as well about Navarrete, was it not super bantamweight that he won the title against Dogbo? So he would cut down even more, man. I really don't know if he's in saunas or he's not drinking like Zhang or something, but it is crazy that he even made super bantam and now feather. It looks huge for that too.
Yeah, absolutely massive, mate.
I can't figure out how he made 122 pounds for the life of me. I can't. It's absolutely absurd.
He's also been at the ring for a fair bit as well. Is that not over a year since his last fight? So he's not active as such either as well. So the longer he keeps the weight on, it's going to be harder to get off, especially with the size of him for that weight division. But I just thought I thought it was just average there last night.
Possibly drained.
I think possibly he could be drained at the weight. That could just simply be it. Just got no juice left to make the actual fight itself. So. Maybe,
and he seemed unsure after the fight as far as if he was going to stay at 126 or move up. But I mean, this is now a 2-weight champion, 1 defeat. I think it was much earlier in his career, and he's just mowing people over. I mean, knocking them out. And yeah, he had a tough time through the first 5 rounds, but he's there until the final bell, and every punch he throws is spiteful, and he can knock you out with either hand. He's fun. He's absolute fun. So, Danny Younger's throwing in 5 pounds this evening just to say 155 pounds has been raised for the pod from shirt sales. Thanks to everyone who bought one, and thank you, gents, and keep up the great work.
Yep, shout out to Danny Young. He sorted out the T-shirts. He had them all produced. He's posted them all off worldwide, and he's made a profit and refused to take anything for it. I was going to give him the StreamYard link to come on tonight, but I completely forgot and flagging, man, after that 2 a.m. finish. But Danny's an absolute legend. He does a lot for the Patreon as well, so thank you very much to him more than anything.
And where can people find these shirts, Steve?
Nowhere, because I think he sold them all now. I don't know whether he's doing a second run. He was just waiting to see if the first run went well,
Yeah.
and then if they do, which it seems to have done, then we'll go again.
Bunch of absolute shaggers wearing them t-shirts, by the way. Certainly knocking them down out there in the streets. Good man, the lads. Wonder boys.
Good
Can you
lad,
imagine? Can you imagine some poor fucker walking down the Essex High Street? Eddie Hearn drives past in his fucking Bentley.
He fucking drove, he run over you.
He fucking raging. Man.
Hey, you did it.
I'd be like that Chicago video, wouldn't he? Just go flying through the middle of them.
Evening, Ed. How you doing, mate?
So Rob, even though you weren't watching the fights, if you could pick any fight for Oscar Navarrete at 126 or 130 pounds, who would you like to see him fight?
Could be Stevenson.
Fulton.
That's where I end up too, dude. That's exactly where I end up too. And
I really like Fulton. I think Fulton is brilliant. I just think he's a bit light and he's out of a division where he's going to get big fights to put him on where he needs to be in terms of the limelight. You know, that way. I think he's really good. But yeah, that'd be a good fight.
You know, and I got this weird feeling this one, and you know, you look at the guy's record, you'd be like, how do you come to that conclusion? And I just got this hunch, Rob, that if they were ever to fight, and because of the promotional differences, probably not. But my feeling is just that Fulton's going to knock him out because Navarrete is so there to be hit. I mean, how many punches can you take from someone who is that accurate as Stephen Fulton?
Yeah, like I'm on the Fulton hype train. Like I think he's excellent, and he probably needs a dance partner to have a big breakout fight or a fight like this. But I don't know, you know, boxing. I don't know, like those two down to that weight, their profiles, they're not commanding that kind of cross promotional money generation. So it's probably no point in talking about it. I think it's going to happen.
I tell you, Fulton's going to fight next. Or if this is true, what I heard, they're going to put him in with Lewis Neri next.
God damn it! I wanted the Akhmedov fight.
He will school the fucking life out of that Lewis Neri drug cheat bastard, man. So yeah, make that fight. But then again, Neri's getting another fucking opportunity, isn't he? Misses weights, you know, drug test failures, you know, and then somehow he's managed to get a #1 ranking with WBC. Talk about nepotism.
I think they're just building a little legacy for Fulton now, aren't they? With names, I know that Neri's been beaten by Figueroa, but Fulton's got Figueroa on the record. He's got Daniel Roman on the record, former unified champion. He's got Neri, former 2-time, 3-time, whatever champion he was after the Japanese fights. And then if he goes in and beats Akhmedov, he's building up a real nice future strong.
And the thing is as well, I think has Neri got an L to Brandon Figueroa? I think he did knock him out.
He does. What I wonder is how long can Fulton make 122 pounds for? I mean, I feel like you're on borrowed time already. Are there 2 fights in there? I mean, can he get both Neri and Akhmedov in? I don't know.
Have to ask him, Matty. Give him a ring.
Yeah, holler. Yeah. Liam Davis throwing in 79p. Thank you, Liam. Also on that card, and Steve, you did see this one, and you know, so far I think we've gone through this, and I can't decide if we're doing the show or the value of the week because I think this is the 4th nominee at this point in time of what we've discussed. The scorecards is Giovanni Santeon outpoints Julio Luna in a 10-round contest with one reasonable 96-94 card for Santeon and 2 other cards where Luna didn't get a single round. And in some of these rounds, Steve, he was outlanding Santeon by a dozen punches or more.
Look who one of the judges was, by the way. Look who one of the judges was. Alejandro Rojan. Remember him?
Oh, what was he in again?
It was what fight was it? It was quite a big one, wasn't it? Oh, give me a second. I'll let you make your point. I'll see if I can dig up the result.
Yeah, no, while you're looking for that, Matty's absolutely right, man. Poor old Luna. It translates as moon, and they definitely pulled his pants down in this one with old Santeon. He's unbeaten, but as I said to you, Matty, he looks like a cut-price David Diaz. I mean, he's solid enough. He's a southpaw. He got a bad cut. He was sparring Timothy Bradley in anticipation of the Manny Pacquiao fights, but he looked very one-dimensional to me, and Luna's punch output was there. He was landing the shots, but it's the fact that not 1 but 2 judges gave it by every single round. Even was it the 4th or the 3rd or the 4th when he got badly rocked, and then the cut happened as well in one of the rounds, and they didn't even think to give that to Luna. it was a poor decision. I'm not that invested in these two guys to go and get angry with it, but I mean, it was just the fact that two of them did it. Maybe that kind of makes it all right. That's just what they're seeing, but just such bizarre scenes.
It was the Tyson Fury fight against Deontay Wilder. I believe it was the first fight. Did you know have a draw?
Oh, right. Was that him? Right. Okay. Yeah, I knew I recognised his name from somewhere.
Yeah, so no, sorry, no, wait a minute. Mason Judge, he actually gave the fight to Deontay Wilder by 4 rounds. That's what it was. Sorry.
Oh,
He had it 115, 111.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the draw was I can't remember.
Phil Edwards.
Yeah. So it's someone we knew, and it was someone we knew that the draw. Here, Matty, sorry, just while I throw something in very quickly as well. I noticed on the cards earlier, on the Showtime card, Raushi Warren was fighting in a 6-rounder right way down the undercard, and he lost to a guy called Francisco Portillo over 6 rounds, 17, 11, and 2. It was in a unanimous decision, so he must have got knocked down at least once. That's a bit of a shocker. I know Raushi Warren's not the greatest fighter in the world, but he scored a really good knockout win over Damian Vasquez in his last fight in 2 rounds.
He was a 30-1 favorite, Steve. A 30-1.
Yeah, that's
favorite.
ridiculous for him to lose that. That's quite the upset. I just noticed that there now.
But the thing is, though, mate, the main question of last night's boxing nights we need to know about. I forget who his granddad is again, but Nico Ali Walsh. How did he look, mate?
He looked all right, actually. I said it before with Zhang. There's these celebrity fighters that we laugh at, but I always do it on the Freddie Flintoff scale. He's like he's the top level for me, Flintoff. Are they shitter than Flintoff, or are they better than him? And to be fair to Walsh, I know he's a novelty. They're going about his granddad, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, at least he's decent enough, technically. I mean, he's not the best in the world, obviously, but he can throw a good body shot. He gets his hands up. He can throw a jab. He can throw an overhand. He's technically proficient. He's not the worst carnival boxer I've ever seen, compared, as I say, to guys like Flintoff. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt at the moment. He's a bit of a freak for attraction, but he's not that bad.
I just wish they would lay off. Like, his granddad. Every fucking
his granddad's
article.
40 in 1973 against
Jesus, man. Every article that they've got about him is about his granddad. Oh, he wears his granddad's shorts that he wore against Joe Frazier back in 1971 in MSG. I'm
bollocks,
like, dude,
that's bollocks. I don't believe
give me peace, man. Honestly, give me
his
that.
granddad was a heavyweight. He's a middleweight or whatever he is. How can he fit in the fucking shorts?
Steve, are you saying the young man can rumble? Young man rumble.
He can float like a butterfly, and I can't remember the rest.
So who was his granddad again? Sorry.
He's not the worst, Andy, is he? Like, he's not the worst.
He's getting better. He went to a decision with that guy last fight out, and it could have very well been a draw, but he snuck out the decision. So he decides to rematch him, and he stops him in 2 rounds.
I don't like the fact he's had three different 6 fights and 3 trainers, though. That would be a bit of a concern. This is his 3rd trainer he's on now.
I'm not against that, because if he's just learning the game, maybe he's picking up little tools here and there and he'll find the right fit. But if he's developing his toolkit, and he seems to be, I'm not going to argue with the results. He does appear to be getting better and better. His improvement is markedly more substantial than Campbell Hatton's, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Campbell Hatton's not got a granddad like that, though. That you can fucking... Because at the end of the day, Campbell
Hatton... but there's only one of his old man.
Yeah, but Campbell Hatton wouldn't be getting those slots if it wasn't for his old man's name. And you can guarantee you Walsh wouldn't even be on ESPN if it wasn't for his fucking granddad's name.
They need to do it like a full-on Creed movie where they get like Bundini Brown's grandson and Angelo Dundee's son to train him and stuff. They're going to be just fucking really fucking spice it up.
I'm signing up for that. Why not?
What's that comment in the chat here? Hands of foam.
Hands of foam for Mikey T.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
He's better than Hatton, isn't he, on the celebrity scale at least?
Speaking of the people in the chat, we got Johnny H.C. Nelson, Mr. Junior Malone, Michael Thompson, Chelsea Taylor, Jack Dio, Cal Cheds, Jim McDonald, Magoo, Liam Davis, MB, Jordan Murphy, Younger 7, Cedric Sniff, David Palmer, Chase Athletics, Big A, Stephen Townley, Frank Fitzgerald, Jason Chukwu. I know there's more of you in there. Oh, look at that. We even got the Ed Gein fan page. Fantastic.
Joshua's disgrace. That's some statement from the Ed Gein fan page.
There you go. An absolute disgrace, sir. But I'd like to thank everybody, and I know Steve's getting all those super chatters written down because he is such a good leader per usual. I'm just here because I'm a good voice. That's all. Yeah, I'm definitely not a pretty face. I guarantee you that much. So, and Andy, didn't you oddly say that you caught a fight further down this card and you kept?
No,
This one-
he couldn't remember. We had a discussion
No,
about
we
that.
had a
Was that
discussion.
Rodriguez against
Manny
Wolfpack?
Rodriguez was fighting, and I thought I'd watched it, and I hadn't. I was like, I just must have just like, telepathically just picked that card up, and I was like looking at it. And says, "Oh, we'll talk about that later on." I'm
He
like,
was going to
"Well,
talk
you
about a
fucking
card
watched
that
it."
didn't even take place in the end, did
Yeah. Andy's just imagining fights.
Didn't
in his
Hater
head
Dave do that
happen.
one time?
Yeah, hey, today was talking about Beterbiev. Well, no, it was Kovalev against John Pascal, I think. And then we
That's right,
worked out
yes.
after a while that he hadn't actually seen the fight.
Well, to be fair, I thought that that Joshua and White had fought twice too. So we all imagine things from time to time. Here we are. But there was a fight that happened. I can't. I remember what he said. Adam Bromwitz said that there was an exceptional 8-rounder yesterday, and if anybody happens to have seen a fight yesterday that was 8 rounds and exceptional, put it in the chat because I didn't catch it and I can't remember what he
What
said
card
it
was it on?
was. It could have been deep down the card on the on Showtime or Top Rank, so I couldn't know.
Well, there's a fight went 8 rounds here on the ESPN card. Miguel Contreras against Josek Ruiz, lightweight possibly.
Well, here's another one, Andy, on that same card. You've got 15-0 Lindolfo Delgado against 24-0 Omar Aguiar. So I'm wondering whether it was that one, maybe.
That might have been that one.
Quite close on the
What was the
score.
name of the
Was it
first
8
fight,
rounds?
Andy?
Was that, mate?
Yeah.
Miguel Contreras, was it?
Yeah, Miguel Contreras against Usyk Ruiz, I think his name was.
I think that's Mary Oso Contreras, young fella.
Nickname the Caveman.
Juanito.
Paul Rafferty throw in a pound 79 2 times back to back. Bam, bam. Thank you, Paul. Remember, everyone that is part of the Patreon, is it, Steve? And also everyone who throws into the Super Chat over the month of August is in the running to win a fantastic autographed Andy Lee boxing glove from the Steve Wellings collection.
Absolutely.
And a lovely collection it is.
Let me just get the photo up here. There it is. Absolutely. Actually, while you're on that, Matty, let me give a shout out quickly to the people who super chatted last night, because there was a hell of a lot of them. They're throwing a lot of money too, so I think it's only fair before we get them all in. So Beatbot Boop threw in 4 super chats last night. He must have been well and truly pissed. Ryan Deal came on the call, also threw in 2 super chats, as did Jason Cheel. They're both in the Patreon as well. Andrew Wolf threw in 20 quid. Barry W, Generic Villa fan, Ryan Talman, C Robert 79, Matthew Russell all threw in as well. James Webb, Lex Horn threw in 20, Michael Crowley threw in, Fuzzy Dunlop, Danny Young, Graham Taylor, and Joe Byrne. So that was a hell of a haul. So fair play to the lads there.
Fantastic.
Woo, go on the boys.
Woo! Yeah, I had to go to a barbecue. I kid you not. I actually got to watch the fight this morning.
Well, a bunch of casuals.
But I was listening to it as I was driving down the road. I put the DAZN app on my phone and I put it down, the floor where I wouldn't be looking at it all the time. So I was listening to the fight originally, and then I finally got to watch it when I got home. I didn't know about AJ's eruption until about 3 hours ago. I was shocked. I'd like to say shocked and appalled, but nothing appalls me.
This is boxing, mate. You can't be appalled at anything that happens in this sport.
You just set yourself up for disappointment, Andy. I think that's why so many people walk away. Like, think of all the people we have known who no longer watch the sport of boxing because they couldn't take anymore.
Yeah, who was it last night? Was it Kurt? Fucking made an appearance for the first time in about 4 years.
Kurt.
Yeah, I said if they robbed Usyk last night, that was me done watching boxing entirely. So he's still alive as young Kurt.
Yeah. I'm friends with the good guy on Facebook. Nice to see he's still alive. He's got an adorable girlfriend and an adorable dog. Lucky son of a bitch. He's got a good thing going for him. He quit watching a lot of boxing, and that happened for him. I don't know if there's something, if they're connected in any way, shape, or form.
It can only go downhill for him now, really, can't it?
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Do you remember McRib, Andy?
For the forum days, possibly, mate.
Yeah, he totally gave up on boxing. A lot of guys from the forum days just totally dropped off the face of the earth. Couldn't do it anymore.
A lot of fellas just not built for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No.
Sometimes you're just not built for it. You have to admit to yourself you're just not built for it. You know what I mean? But I would like to give
a
round of applause for the guys who are built for it. You know, these guys who come in here week in, week out, put in the work. So hip hip.
Hooray!
Champ.
We've got a couple of questions in here. Steve, is this Kovalev Wikipedia part of the Bellews or?
No, leave that for another week. That's just some random bullshit. They'll do next week when there's nothing on.
Okay. All right. We got a question from Dave. He says, question for the pod if it's not too late. What is with Hispanic boxers' horrendous bum fluff mustaches? It's like when you're 12 and you first get that shitty top lip hair. I think leaving it there looks good.
I'm thinking about kind of first person. I'm thinking about Leo Santa Cruz.
Oh yeah, he's one. Virgil Ortiz, I was thinking of. He's growing a nice one, isn't he?
Amanda Serrano.
Jesus Christ.
Who was it I said Amanda Serrano looked like the other day? There was someone fighting, and she looked like Miguel Mariaga.
I hate you.
Who was fighting Michael Conlon?
I hate you.
That wee Darshan creature as well. He's got a fucking funny one. He's
Oh yeah,
not a
he's got a
Hispanic
good
boxer.
one. He's got a good one.
As someone who grew up with around a bunch of Hispanic kids, what's fucking crazy is they get those mustaches at 12 and they just don't change. It like they really do
Teofimo as well,
get
he's
it
got
at
one, hasn't he?
12.
Teofimo and the dad too. He's got one on.
Yeah.
Oh, aye, Teofimo Lopez, the feather. Aye, fuck me.
On the Spike O'Sullivan scale, that's the standard, isn't it? The Spike O'Sullivan moustache, Matty.
Yeah, that guy. She should be in westerns. They should like have him as like an Irish settler in the Old West. He's got a fantastic mustache, and I could see a good life for him. He doesn't have. Wasn't he a stuntman? He doesn't have to be a stuntman. You don't have to get your ass kicked anymore, Spike. Just be an actor.
He's made some money as Spike. I tell you what, he's done well for himself.
Good for him. That's fantastic. Someone with such a fantastic mustache should make that kind of money.
Absolutely.
Thanks for that question, Dave. Holt says, how good was Brian Nielsen in his IBO reign of terror? Was he just as washed as Tyson when they fought, or was he always just like that shit? If he retired at 49-0, seems he would have had a Calzaghe-like career. Andy, this one's all you, man. I know you know. Wasn't he Danish?
Yeah,
Danish.
Champ. Yeah, I think so. From what I can recall, mate, he was pretty out of shape, if I can recall, possibly. Especially maybe in the later half of his career. But I'm trying to remember some of his fights now because he fought mostly out in Denmark. I think I don't think he did much traveling, honestly, on the road.
Tyson fight him on the fucking retirement tour, didn't he?
Aye,
Yeah.
Tyson. Aye.
He fought Evander Holyfield as well, didn't he?
Aye, and I think he got stopped, I think, off Holyfield as well, did he know? It might have been his last fight.
Yeah, that was his last fight. He went through a whole load of guys, sort of faded names from the 90s, 80s and 90s heavyweight era. So he beat Tony Tubbs in the 90s. Then he went in against Phil Jackson in 96. Marcus Rode, Larry Holmes, Damon Reed, Crawford Grimsley, remember him? He fought out in Japan against George Foreman, I think. Then he lost to he beat Peter McNeely in 99, lost to Tim Witherspoon in 1999, and then there was another one of these names as well.
James Pritchard.
He beat more faded 80s heavyweights than cocaine.
All in Norris as well. He beat all in Norris. IBC heavyweight. It was. He was defending.
That's fucked up. He fought Phil Jackson in '96 because that was when Jordan was retired in the middle there. That's unfair. That's stacked.
Phil Jackson to go to the Lakers after that though.
Yeah, in what 2002? Anyways, that's another story. Bulls basketball. Good times.
Talking to Calzaghe, I think Calzaghe fought on one of the Brian Nielsen undercards.
It was a Tyson
card.
card.
He fought Will McIntyre on one of them.
Yeah, it was a Tyson card, mate.
Oh, there you go then, yeah.
Because Carlos Baldemir fought some guy, I forget his name at this point as well.
Oh, the Nancy fella.
Him was in jail for it was his daughter. I think he'd been abused or something. It was the same card, because that was the time when Joe Calzaghe told the story. He wanted a picture with Mike Tyson, and the two of them are standing together, and Tyson's got this face like a smacked arse, and Enzo says, "Fuck's sake, Mike, smile, take a picture." Fuck.
Yeah,
just right too.
Hey, speaking of 49-0 kind of stuff, wasn't that was it Zurich that retired undefeated?
No, he lost to Sergio Martinez, didn't he?
Who am I thinking of? I'm not thinking of Otka. There was another guy. No, Darius Michael Chips.
No,
light heavyweight.
No, he lost to Julio Gonzalez. That was the whole big controversy, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In a fight, I actually thought he won, bizarrely enough, for all the decisions. Ironically, I thought he actually beat Gonzalez fair and square, and that was the one that did him.
God, I just like those random fights when people get beat by someone they shouldn't. One of the best mornings of my life was when I woke up to find out that Garth Wood had fucking beat Anthony Mundine. That was epic. Like, who the fuck is Garth Wood?
He only like something like 7 or 8 pro fights or something at the time as well.
I think he's like 11-5 or some shit like that. It was something ridiculous, but those are good times. Got to go for the underdogs, especially when they beat the assholes. Thanks for that question, Holt. Let's see. Don't think that might have been all we had in the questions there, Steve.
Don't think we got any more.
All right. So let's move on, I guess, to the previews of everything we got going on this next week, which is not a whole fucking lot. In Serbia, Murat Gassiev going to be at heavyweight against Carlos Welch. Carlos Welch has been very active in the pro ranks until the last couple years. He's 42 years old. Shiny record, hasn't fought many people. He has a few names on his record. It's basically if you were a super middleweight that was on the fringe level and you decided to keep fighting as you got fat, Carlos Welch has fought you. People like Edison Miranda and Fulgencio Zuniga. So that's what his record is. Gassiev hasn't been in the ring for about a year. I don't know. You got to think Gassiev is going to beat the shit out of this guy. Does anybody disagree?
You seen Gassiev recently, man? You see the picture of him last week?
No. I remember that one. Yeah, he looked like shit.
He did.
I've given up on him. We've had a discussion, Andy, before, haven't we, about Gassiev? I mean, he's the big boogeyman at heavyweight who's fought once at heavyweight. Oh, he's got this power, he's this, that, the other. I've just written him off at this point. And as for Welch, I mean, he reeks of someone who's come out of prison and taken up the game late. I could be giving the poor fellow a complete disservice, but he's 42.
Racist.
He has a prison. He has a prison look about him. He turned pro in 2017. He has like a Clifford Etienne vibe, I think.
He's fighting in Dominican Republic, fucking Colombia, Mexico. He's even been to Panama now. He's fighting in Serbia. 42-year-old. He's a 42-year-old jobber. As Steve says, took up boxing in 2017. Very well. I didn't see anything to do with an amateur career or anything like that. So
he's undefeated in like the last 4 years too.
Who gives a fuck, man? Who's he been fucking fighting? Look at some of that.
Edison Miranda.
Yeah, but Edison, that's not Edison Miranda though, mate. Edison Miranda's about 240 pounds. 240 pounds, mate. He was primus at middleweight, for Christ's sake.
And he knocked his fat ass out.
Edison Miranda. Oh yeah, he's at heavyweight now, isn't he?
Yeah, 240 pound fucking Edison Miranda. Milton Nunez, did he not fight Golovkin in his early part of his career? I'm sure he did. Milton Nunez. Give me a second here. Fucking positive he did. Very early in his career. He fought Sergio Moro. He got beat.
He fought Spike O'Sullivan. Got knocked out. I don't know.
He did. He fought Golovkin. He got smashed in one round. Golovkin was 18-0.
He fought Danny Jacobs as well. He's fought everybody that Nunez.
Yeah. Chudinov, Manny Sika. He got beat off Manny Sika, for Christ's sake. Danny Jacobs, Sergio Mora.
Manny Siaka, who beat Anthony Mundine, the aforementioned Anthony Mundine, you remember?
Walkie Camp fought as well.
Mm-hmm.
Beat him.
Yeah.
Gary Spike O'Sullivan knocked him out. Atlantis Fox. Alab Canuli beat him on his debut.
Alim Hanulala.
It's a great heavyweight fight when you're looking up the record of somebody and it takes you down to middleweight.
It's horrific, mate. Gaziev will smash this guy in about 2 rounds. And Gaziev isn't looking in great condition for what I saw him, by the way. As I say, his beard's got alopecia. His knee is massive as well. I'm interested to see what weight he comes in at, because I think in his last fight, Gaziev was weighing something like 230, 240. He must be at least 240, 250 now. My God, man, he's looking massive.
This is what it's come down to next week. This is where boxing's heading.
Yep, and that's going to be from Serbia. So Serbia's got that going for them. Coming over to my side of the pond, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Saturday night. Card headlined by Jose Pedraza against Richard Comey. I'm going to hit the undercard first. Steve is in first place in the prediction league still. Not much movement since everybody just got their 2 points except for me because I go for the underdog because I'm an idiot. But anyways, we all know that I'm an idiot, and that's just old news. So we do have a couple of fights going on, and the reason I'm touching on them, one of them, it doesn't matter at all. Steve, one of them is F.A. Ajagba against Joseph Darmos, 14-4-3. Who has fought nothing that really matters. That's going to be over 8 rounds. And then you have Jared the Pimp Anderson taking on Miljan Rovakanen. Rovakanen has lost only to Dimitrenko in a fight which was originally a draw, but then was changed to a DQ after a post-fight review found multiple point deductions, enough to warrant a disqualification of Rovakanen. And he also lost to Ajit Kabayel, as you remember, who took a majority decision over Derek Chisora and then has fought once a year against Trash since then. So that's actually kind of an interesting test because the guy's kind of mid-European level, I guess, coming in 24-2, 16 stoppages to his credit on there. And my question for you on this, Steve, is how many total rounds do you think those two contests are going to go? Ajagba scheduled for 8, Anderson scheduled for 10. Total of both fights combined.
But Torres as well, because I see they've got Torres' amateur record up in box right next to his pro record. If you
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he looks like a journeyman, doesn't he? 56-10.
56-10, man.
I think that Ajagba's going to knock out this big Hungarian pudding in 2 rounds, and Anderson will go 3 rounds. They keep feeding these Europeans with flattering records, but they fought absolute shit to Anderson. I know why they're doing it. They're keeping Anderson kind of cooking till the heavyweight titles fracture and he doesn't have to fight the big boys and he can pick one up. I understand that. But 3 rounds for him, 2 rounds for Ajagba. Both pointless fights, 5 rounds in total.
All right. Rob, how many are you thinking?
Who cares, man? Really, like, do you know what I mean? There's nothing on next week, is there? Because of fuck. Is this on next week? Yeah, in Oklahoma. Yeah. Oklahoma's a good boxing town, actually. By the way,
State.
State, whatever the fuck. Tulsa, is it? Oshin was out there before I turned pro out there. They have a nice little pro scene. Carson Jones as well, I believe, is from Oklahoma.
He was from Tulsa. Yep.
Yeah. So good boxing community there. So I'm sure they'll be out in droves for this fight and have a bit of an interest in it. But I don't. So I don't know. I'd say 6 rounds combined.
See, to be honest, that's last night and next week as well. Top ranks cards have been absolutely abysmal this year, and it's again that's another card filled with either 2 10-rounders, 8-rounders, 6 and 4s. They are not putting on good cards whatsoever. To be honest, Lomachenko's
I wonder has the shorter cards got to do with advertising or whatever on the breaks?
ESPN.
They cut down on the fight.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, because ESPN do that stupid thing, don't they? During the break, they have the break, and then they have like the highlights in the next box to it. Yeah.
Split screen, aye. So they maybe go to like a commercial break, but they're showing the kind of highlights for the previous round during the kind of 1 minute break. So you didn't really get to hear what was going to say in the corner sometimes.
Yeah, feels like a rundown of ESPN. It feels like end stage kind of cards to me.
Yeah.
I'm completely wrong, but like you said, it could be the
end stage renal failure for ESPN.
Yeah, exactly.
Andy, how many are you thinking they go total? And you can say the same thing somebody else said. I'm going to give 1 point if one person gets closest, 2 points if you hit it dead on the nose. So it could be tie or whatever.
What fights? Jared Anderson, Pedraza, and who else?
Jared Anderson and Miljan Ravakanen and F.A. Ajagba versus Joseph Darmos. How many total rounds those fights combined?
I said, Andy, 3 rounds for Anderson, 2 rounds for Ajagba, so 5 in total for me.
And Rob said 6.
I'll go 6.5 rounds in.
You can go. No, you got to pick a poll number.
Over under, Andy. Over under.
Who made the rules? Like
I did.
Fuck you. Fucking hell, man.
7.
Mauricio Di Gianleonardo.
5. Fucking hell, man.
6 or 7. Come on.
See, this is important stuff, by the way. We're getting in the business end of the season here. I'm gonna go 4 rounds.
Ooh, totally switching it up there. Jesus.
Yeah.
That's where I was gonna go. God damn it! I think I'm just gonna copy Steve and hit the middle.
Or just both will go the fucking distance now. Wake up Sunday morning, get the phone out, box rec, 10 rounds. Oh, fucking hell.
That'd mean Rob gets 1 whole point. That'd be a bastard.
I'm gonna say the opposite, man. You could see them both ending in a round, couldn't you? I mean, them opponents are fucking terrible. What's he doing, Bob? Come on.
I particularly think that Zhang was going to wipe this guy out in like 2 minutes. I for some reason, I just get a hunch on that one. The other guy, man, you go 10 rounds with Dimitrenko. I mean, you're not without a beard, right?
But he gets smoked off Akhmedov in 3 rounds, who's okay European level. But I've never seen him fight since Chisora, I don't think.
Neither of those guys have much hand speed either. I mean, Jared Anderson has pretty quick hands as far as it goes. So, I mean, he could wax a guy in a fucking round too. I mean, we'll find out. We'll fucking find out. So
I'll tell you what, right, if Hrgovic and Zhang is the benchmark for fucking title challengers and these guys are below that level, I wouldn't be fucking optimistic that they're going to be much of a spectacle.
I hear you.
You're a hater.
You're a troll, Rob. You're a troll.
This is a rough week for boxing.
You know what a troll is, Rob?
I love the way he said, like, all those people that claim to be
social
good
media.
people. Claim to be good people, but they're dickheads. Well, what about the people that praise them? Are they all nice guys? Like, or some praise people like that? The people who are against AJ are all dickheads, but the pro guys are all just fucking upstanding gentlemen, are they?
Well, yeah, of course.
What was it that Dillian White said about him, by the way? Weird guy.
Yeah, true enough. That's one of the first things Dillian's ever said I've agreed with. So, anyways, the main event of this card, though, is good, guys. I think it's interesting. Jose Pedraza against Richard Comey. Pedraza, I believe, started out at 130 pounds. Richard Comey coming up to 140 pounds. Big guy, tall, lanky frame. I think he'll do fine at the weight. This is an interesting fight for me, Steve. And I actually think this is a solid main event by Top Rank. It's only 10 rounds, this one. It's not a 12-rounder. But it's just curious because even despite the fact that he's coming up for his first fight at 140, is Comey, he's got to be considered the puncher in this contest.
Yeah, you're turning me on this one, actually. When I first heard it, I thought, Pedraza, Comey, we've seen enough of them pair. Four losses apiece. Excuse me, both been stopped. So I thought it's a bit shit. But actually, yeah, it's not a bad thing. Sorry, I was just getting distracted. Yeah, Pedraza. So let's have a look at him then. Last time we saw him was earlier this year, losing to Jose Carlos Ramirez. That was the comeback fight for Ramirez. I'm trying to reacquaint myself with them. It was Tank, wasn't it, who stopped him for the title? I was trying to think who beat him up. Well, Tank's a different level. Loma beat him as well. Zapata, he didn't go get knocked out by Zapata. Lomachenko was close to stopping him. I think it was in the 11th round. He's a tough nut, Pedraza. So that's him for a start. And then Comey.
He hung him at Loma. He did hang him at Loma for
a
while. Like, he wasn't in any danger of winning it, but he gave a good account of himself.
Oh, he did. Oh, he definitely did. And then Comey, Lomachenko. Something I thought Comey got stopped by Lomachenko. That's the type of levels I'm at.
He almost did in the 7th round. Remember, he got dropped hard, and you're like, how did you not
try
finish
to
that?
get him stopped or something? Like,
I think he was beating a shit out when he was calling the corner or the referee stopped the fight.
That's right.
To be honest,
yes, but he eventually lasted it. I thought he'd got stopped there. And he got banged out by Lopez for the IBF title. Right, it's all coming back to me now.
Was that Loma's first fight since the surgery, since the Lopez fight as well? And to be fair, I think that was one of Loma's better performances because he certainly made the rematch against Lopez more kind of like.
It was pre-Lopez. It was pre-Lopez. Lomachenko and pajamas. Lomachenko and bananas in pajamas.
Pedraza was, but Comey wasn't. Comey was after.
Comey was after. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Comey,
and Comey knocked out Marínez, who'd beaten. Well, he'd lost to Rolly, but he'd effectively beaten him. And then Shafikov Easter. That was a while. The Easter fight was a close one. That was a while ago. Right. Okay. Sorry, Matty. I'm trying to do this on now and work out what's going on here. I'm going for Pedraza on points. He's a tough old nut. They both are, but I think Pedraza will probably have enough to beat him. So Pedraza on points for me, Matty.
All right, Pedraza on points. Andy, Rob, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I cover quality, but Pedraza is a tough nut. But he has a ceiling, and I think we probably haven't seen. I think Comey had more room for improvement. I was on a better trajectory until he ran into Lopez, who absolutely fucking flattened him. And I thought Lopez would do that to him because the power was real. And Comey's he's not a will o' the wisp, but I think he has more to him than Pedraza. Now I have to see where the two of them are, but Pedraza's always a tough nut in a fight as well. He makes fights entertaining, so this is not a bad fight actually. None of the two of them are going to go on to fucking be world beaters or anything, but I think Comey still has a bit to offer at the division, so I'm going to go Comey on points.
Comey points. All right. Andy, where are you leaning, sir?
It's a crossroads fight for both guys, to be fair, mate. I think the loser, like Jade, can't come again, to be fair. So
Yeah, that's an overused term, but I think it's definitely correct in this situation.
But Comey, as I say, he's tough. I just think at this point in his career, I just don't know, mate. To be fair, I think he's just too many L's been picked up now. Decent enough power. I think the Beltran win's a wee bit kind of flattering, to be honest with you, on his record, because Beltran's seen better days and he was old by that point. I like Pedraza. He's good boxer, decent enough skills. No special effects really, but he's a solid fighter. I agree with the guys. I'm going to go with the sniper to do it on points, 10-round decision.
Pedraza on points. All right. You know, I am thinking I'm going to have to leave Rob out in the rain on this one, because I just I mean, Lomachenko done him pretty good. Tank, different level of puncher, as was said, and Ramirez is really an exceptional puncher, and they went the distance, didn't they, Steve?
Yeah. Is Ramirez an exceptional puncher?
Yeah. Oh, I think I wouldn't say exceptional puncher, but he's a good nut. He's at 140 pounds. He's a good puncher, and Pedraza starting at 130. I mean, you got to say that the guy can take a punch. I think Ramirez is a pretty good bellwether of your punch. I mean, because that combination he blasted Hooker with was mean.
Yeah, Mike Reed as well. There was a good finish on Mike Reed, I remember.
Yeah, so I mean, he's not the best puncher, but he's a good puncher. I mean, so I think that he'll be able to get through Comey, who can punch, but probably not well enough at the weight. So I'm going to lean with you guys and go Pedraza on points.
I think he might just be cute at the right times. The odd, the deciding rounds. I think it'll be very close, like 96-94, maybe a majority, maybe a split. I think Pedraza will just be cute at the right times.
Yeah, he's got good movement. I mean, not Loma movement, but I think he's got enough to him where he can where he can keep Comey from being able to set and throw his punches. If Comey's going to win this thing, I actually think he's probably going to win this thing by stopping Pedraza late when Pedraza doesn't quite have the wheels. But as a 10-rounder, I think it definitely leans more in Pedraza's favor. If it was 12, I might go the other way.
Mm-hmm. I think Comey's power... God, I'm fairly stretching this out, and I apologise. I think Comey's power is good at a certain level, but when he steps up to that top level, which I think Pedraza kind of fits in with that, it maybe doesn't carry as effectively. So I don't think it's such a big factor.
Yeah, I agree with you. So we got 3 Pedraza points and 1 Comey points. Rob trying to get that lead, overtake Steve, who has... rather than, I think, 1 week, pretty much remained at the top of the predictions for, God, at least the last 12 or 15. You're on fire, Steve. You got to wonder, if you're going to see this thing through, or if there's going to be some sort of an epic crash.
Well, either way, I think I've done myself proud. They tease me, Matty, for being the worst predictor around. Yildirim in the Super Series, and I think I'm holding my own here. It's been a career reversal for me now. No meltdowns in sight.
No, I'm the worst. There's proof.
Yeah.
There's proof. So, anyways, it's been really fun on this one. It was funky week that we just experienced of boxing, and not a whole lot going on this week. But the month of September sure looks sweet. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Steve for the value of the week.
Thank you very much, Matthew. I'm still here alongside you, doing a great job hosting as always. Andy's here. And rapping Rob Kelly. No sign of Aussie, unfortunately. I was hoping he would jump on. Maybe we'll get his thoughts next week to lead us into episode 488 of the Value of the Week. Seeing as I made this, we played it at the start. We might as well get maximum value out of it while we can. Let's have another listen to AJ and his poor old meltdown at the weekend. Here we are.
This is a proper man in. You know what I mean? Proper man who don't talk shit. don't tell lies. He gives everybody his time.
Give him a round of applause as our heavyweight champion of the world.
Woo! Nice work from Joshua.
I'm not a 12-round fighter. Look at me. I'm a new breed of heavyweights. All them heavyweights, Mike Tyson, Sonny Liston, Jack Dempsey. Oh yeah, you don't throw combinations like Rocky Marciano. Because I ain't fucking 14 stone, that's why. I'm 18 stone, I'm heavy.
You're a troll. You know the word troll? You know what that means? Like a troll is just a fucking complete and utter low-life scumbag. It's a troll. So what? You don't have to say anything to the trolls.
Hard work. This guy here is a phenomenal talent. We're gonna cheer for him 3 times. Well, how many belts you got now, bro? 5. Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! And as I said, I was studying Ukraine and all the champions that have come from your amazing country, but I've never been there. But at the same time, what's happening there is, I don't know what's happening, but it's not nice at the end of the day. I've seen it with Lomachenko in his second fight against Orlando. There was unrest in Ukraine, right or wrong. There was issues in Ukraine in your second fight. There was civil war. Vitaly Klitschko, when he faced Danny Williams, civil unrest.
Let's get behind AJ to win this weekend. He's a great man. He's done so much for the sport. He's inspired so many. As Bellew says, you know, he paved the way, AJ, for fights for Bellew, like against Usyk and against David Haye, and for him to have that kind of platform.
Usyk as a champion, please raise your hand. Under them circumstances, he managed to become champion. Champ, champ! Champ, champ! Champ, champ! And I just want to say, Bismillah.
Woo! Let's take the fucking hell. Let's take him to
Eddie
fucking hell.
Yeah, let's take him. This Eddie's like this. We take him to hell.
He took him to hell, all right. He took Eddie to hell and everything. Eddie was in fucking hell there, wasn't he? He's having a fucking mirror.
By the way, Rob, you can't be the only one that did pick up on it, but Rocky Marciano, combination puncher.
Woo!
Who fucking told him that? Jesus Christ.
I don't know, but true.
Eddie standing to attention, like ramrod straight the national anthem, hand at fidelity, hand across his breast, singing it out, God save the Queen, like a fucking muppet, man. He was so proud he could have fucking standing straight, he could have fucking snapped. He was standing that fucking hard, man. Fuck me.
Then he was moving his fucking hands like Marcel Marceau, wasn't he? Trying to get fucking, what you call it, to stop talking. Shut the fuck up, man. Cut off the fucking mic. Stop.
Fucking Usyk literally got handed an Uzi or an M16 to stand on the fucking front lines and a fucking pack of cigarettes. Fucking ages complaining about fucking selling a bottle of weed and sitting fucking in Watford fucking Bell Centre for fucking 2 weeks.
So I saw the fucking headline that like he had a meltdown, and I watched like the full fight on DAZN, but it ended before the post fight, and so I watched him go off, and then I went to show somebody else, and I thought that I went the wrong direction because I saw him going up the ramp, and it took me a few times of going back and forth to finally figure out he left the ring. Came back, then went and did that.
Came back like
rant.
the fucking Macho Man Randy Savage.
Elizabeth!
Well, you Elizabeth! Mean Gene! I had too many Slim Jims and I couldn't put my punches together.
By the way, Eddie is Nelson. This man don't speak no shit. What the fuck was that in the ring afterwards? Because that was a pile of fucking full of shit that he was talking, man. Fuck me. See, the way it is a sort of kind of back, roundabout way for compliment, but he went way off the spectrum what he was trying to fucking maintain. And as Rob says, man, somebody, and it would be a bad look as well if someone's trying to grapple with him and pull the fucking microphone off, because Joshua had a fucking bit back at that. Look at Usyk trying to get the fucking flag back off him, and he's like, no, I'm talking here.
Where was Robert Garcia? You talk about Robert Garcia as a trainer, and like I've watched enough Robert Garcia. Yeah, exactly. Why did he was tight-lipped, man. He was shut the fuck up and keep saying nothing. I'm not taking the microphone off. Anyway. I won't be back for the fucking DAZN deal. Fuck that. He reminded me of like, You know, you ever go like to a house party back in the day, and everyone's having a good time until the host of the house party, who's a bit fucking loopy anyway, starts going off on one, and nobody wants to interrupt him. No, let me finish. Listen, it's like this, lads. I fucking love yous, right? I love yous.
Oh dear, yeah, we might as well cancel it now because AJ is going to win. But we might let's go through the motions anyway and see who else has been offending this week. Starting with Spencer Oliver, he told the Gad he's in a WhatsApp group with AJ and was talking tactics with him earlier this week, which didn't bode well until afterwards, when AJ losing his head post-fight has rubbed off on Spencer. Spencer jumped in and reassured him, Andy, you outboxed the best boxer in the world. Spencer, epic speech to Anthony Joshua post-fight. Here's another ring licker.
Absolutely disgraceful. As I said, I tweeted it out as well. I says he's so far up AJ's arsehole he can lick his eyeballs. That's fucking, and that's a guy who's working for a supposed mainstream media outlet, right? And apparently he's getting shit off Americans now for it as well. What? You outboxed the best boxer in the world. What the fuck were you watching, mate? What were you watching? Because again, he just comes across as a cheerleader. It's just brutal to sit and listen to these people just arse lick him and tell him, look, you won the fight. There's no. Why can you not be honest with the guy? Why just say, look, you lost the fight? If he's not happy about it, then look, mate, I'm sorry, but I'm telling you the truth. At the end of the day, but nah, they just seem to kind of like, I don't know what that is, mate. It's just like they don't want to lose access. And
just say nothing. He didn't need to be there.
He was ready to. He was ready to fight the Gad on TalkSport. Spencer was, because Gad was like fucking talking shit off about AJ. Spencer wasn't having it. Listen, I've been talking to him on WhatsApp, and he listens to me. He listens to me, Gad.
Put those two in against each other on the KSI undercard this weekend, and I just might buy it.
I don't think you could have Spencer boxing again, to be honest with you.
I enjoyed Fury's comments on IG. Remember, he was slagging off like Matchroom and the Sky Sports relationship now. I see Eddie's just come out with a comment there recently there as well about Johnny Nielsen saying about James Tennyson beating Lomachenko. So it's getting really bitter here now. Like you could see Eddie all week was on the offensive, shall we say. He was a bit emotional as well. I think they must have went in with that kind of mindset, kind of siege mentality. Everybody's against us, that type of thing. Because he was really complaining about the Sky Sports coverage and that as well, wasn't he? So they kind of felt that he was being disrespectful towards AJ.
He needs to shut the fuck up, because nobody could get a mention on Sky that wasn't on Sky when they were there. Like, he needs to shut the fuck up, man. Can't have it both ways. Like,
yep.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick. Brian King has been finding them. They're out there on Twitter. He sent me loads. I've cut as many as I can, Brian, for you. Chris Lloyd, an absolutely brilliant fight. Congrats to Alexander Usyk. A shout to Angel Fernandez as well for the work he has done with Joshua. He's not a pad man, as he was referred to this week, but a brilliant teacher, and he deserves credit for the work he's done with Joshua, Brian says. Heard him complaining about the promotion of this fight, and this is the only tweet from his own guy. Also, Everything Boxing jumped in afterwards. He says, Anthony Joshua versus Dillian White now should be made for December. Keep AJ active. That definitely does a stadium. Big fight for pay-per-view on DAZN. Or get them both separate fights and then put them together.
You just know that the DAZN limb lickers were all put into fucking battle mode last night after the result came in. Right, boys, get to Twitter. You know what you do. It was a close competitive fight. The AJ just narrowly lost, but he's a great human being, great champion, respectful, don't talk no shit. And then they're all out there. Tony Bellew, our chief rim licker Darshan here. Who else was out there? I tell you, the only person that probably came out of there, British wise, in terms of like sporting people, in terms of boxing, who came out with a wee bit of credit there last night was Fraser Clark. Fraser Clark called it as it is. That was a disgrace. That was his moment to be speaking. I think Froch called it pretty well as well. So
Froch was the voice of reason. Things are going wrong.
Yeah, exactly, mate.
Mm-hmm. Brian King has pulled out a few others here. Aussie and Kiwi muscle cars. AJ won that fight, but judges are human beings and maybe felt they had to give it to Usyk for a happy ending. He's also pulled out the Honourable Charles Mutabari. AJ won this fight by far, but the judges decided to favour the Ukrainian because of what was happening in his country. But more credibility here, Andy. Kevin Mitchell, former correspondent for The Guardian, he's not there anymore. He said Joshua won that by at least a couple of rounds, at least. But he's got to understand it's not all about him. What was Kevin Mitchell watching?
Hold on. Steve, these people do not understand. A happy ending could get you killed in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. As long as your name's no Jamal Khashoggi, basically, aye. Just didn't walk into any fucking Turkish embassies, for example.
Yeah, I don't know if that's even the real Kevin Mitchell. It could the last laugh could
I'm
be on
blocked by
Usyk,
him.
wasn't
That's the
it?
Guardian writer, eh?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah,
Apparently, yeah.
I'm blocked by him on Twitter for some reason. I don't know what I've done to
He
that
has
guy.
form
so-
for these stupid takes, though, doesn't he? Him.
Yeah, did
Dominic
you
Henry's told me about him before.
Yeah, did they not come out with something? Was it Manny Pacquiao against Floyd? Did he not have Manny beating Floyd, for example? Or I've
Quite
got that one
possibly.
totally wrong.
I'm
I
not-
can't
I'm not
remember. There
sure.
was something that he said previous enemy.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to him anyway. Let's move on through them. There's quite a few. Here's one from you, Andy. Dysionomics says he put boxing on the map, arguably the biggest star in the sport. What a champ. Anthony Joshua paved the way for Eddie Hearn to become a megastar.
GQ, baby. GQ star.
That's right.
Look,
Conquering
I think,
America.
I think like, for example, Carol. When Eddie's going on about, like, say, boxing's back, pay-per-view was back, Anthony Joshua was the main driver behind all that. I thought it was Carol Froch who was the one that was on the pay-per-view. Carol Froch was the pay-per-view star for Eddie Hearn back in the early days, and that his run at Sky. He got really lucky with the George Groves situation in the first fight. Got the pay-per-view back.
Oh, Kessler,
for
yeah. Was the Kessler one?
fight.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The Froch-Kessler fight was the first fight on pay-per-view since Hay Klitschko.
After Hay.
Yep, it was a
Hay-
complete
yeah.
shitfest. Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Harrison.
Hey Harrison.
Hey Harrison, sorry,
Yeah,
aye.
yeah, yeah.
And they said we're not doing pay-per-view again, and then they needed it for the Kessler-Froch fight because obviously
That's right.
Kessler was quoted as.
No,
So
might have been
Froch
Klitschko,
started it
wasn't
all back up. No Joshua.
Yeah, and it's like he put boxing on. Boxing's been on a map, guys. You know what I mean? It's fucking, you're talking about a fucking
Over a century,
200
man.
years
Sport
sport,
of
like,
boxing. You put it on the map.
put it
Over
on
a
a map.
century, mate.
Fucking hell.
Aye. For flip's sake. Anyway, here he is, the man himself. Don't ever judge a boxer on a post-fight interview, says Tony. He also had a meltdown after Usyk beat the shit out of him. I can't explain to you how much emotion and tiredness are both working against you. I've known AJ a long time. He's nothing but respectful, honest, and decent to everyone. He'll be back. This is after Bell. You put it out another. I have nothing but love and respect for this man. Tweet. This is the most one-sided friendship in history, this. Tony loves Joshua to death. I don't think Joshua even knows who he is.
See what I love as well about Joshua, he makes time for the fans, all that type of thing. See, apart from in between fights, you never hear from him. The only time you hear from Joshua is like building up for a fight or post fight. That's it. You never hear him. I'm not saying he doesn't do anything, with that, but I'm just saying I've never heard much from him actually, to be honest with you. So.
Oh, Des has corrected us. You were right, Andy. Hey, Vlad was the
Here we
last
go.
pay-per-view.
I knew it
before
was
got
that.
brought
Yeah,
back.
no, you're right. I jumped in there, but I was breaking up. It was because the big toll gate put an end to pay-per-view,
Yeah.
didn't it?
Yep.
That's right. There we go. Thanks, Des. What else have we got here on the list? Talking to lists, here's a man who should be on the list. Gareth A. Davis is coming in with Holyfield. If a look could ever sum up a situation.
It's like, who the fuck are you, man? The fucking Bono tribute act or something like that,
How good would it?
Tell us
How
about
good
the
would a guy
tattoos.
singing a
You know
cover
what you should
of
do to him,
Rematch?
by somebody needs to do this to the Gad. Go up to him and ask for an autograph, right, and get him to sign it. So see when he signs it, right, get the paper back off him, look at it, and then say to your mates, "You're right enough, guys. It's no fucking Bono after all." Fucking throw it away and walk away.
Quite like your Father Ted with Bob Geldof. Father Jack.
Oh, Tim, all right.
Himself all right. Yeah. Oh, I love the guy. Billy Boxing's nominated Adam Cattrall. Here's another one. For many, Lloyd Honeyghan beating Don Curry in 1986 is the best victory by a British boxer on foreign soil. A win for AJ tonight enters that conversation. That's the magnitude of the task ahead. Hashtag Usyk Joshua too.
Wow. Where's his fucking sidekick by the way these days? Or his side piece? The Scouser.
Oh, the one who looks like Smigger.
Aye. Where's he these days, man?
I can't remember. Not sure.
Lloyd
Not sure.
Honeyghan. I mean, that was a great win. Top win, actually, but one of the best victories.
Completely unexpected, yeah.
Yeah.
Brian King had a good one about the Smith family last night on Twitter, by the way. I can't remember it now, but it was fucking class.
Thanks for that, Rob. And then, next
You
one.
said he looked like Smigger. I thought you said you were all right, Spider.
I'm really messing. Deontay Wilder. It was great to see my brother Luis Ortiz at his media workout. I wish you the best of luck in your fight with Andy Ruiz. Isaac Warrior jumped in. 2 bums.
The bombs everywhere.
2 bums.
Cheers.
This is to the bombs. Well done, Isaac. Oh, he's doing a great job.
Why, that picture kind of looks like Deontay Wilder spending time with blind seniors.
with his old man. Oh, there's Deontay. He's looking well, looking in good shape.
Yeah, you see the state of his legs, though, man. Still fucking stick thin.
Exactly, little sparrow legs. Joe Kennedy's nominated this one. Rick Milligan, who actually put a good one in about Teofimo Lopez, which I completely forgot to cut. I'll have to do that next week. Actually.
Oh, that was good one.
Yeah, I completely
That's
forgot
what got
to.
him in this hot water, I think, in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Alan Dawson says, Rick, you partnered with MTK and you're trying to talk to me about credibility. Rick says, again, elementary school journalism, never partnered at all. Dealt with Bob Yalen on media deals and sponsors for a few guys, who was and is an incredible person. Your hope was that I was while you were fishing. That's why you're a D-level journalist. If that is partnering, okay. Previous work from Rick. Looking forward to working with MTK Global on and I'm excited about all the possibilities to make him a star and maximise his earnings and likeness worldwide in the years to come.
There's always a tweet.
Great
There's
bunch of
always a tweet, man. Great bunch of lads. I tell you what, though, there's no many of them getting paid these days, for what we can see.
No,
apart from Matthew Sanction Macklin.
Mr. Teflon, you're still there on your screens every week. Brian King's nominated Addy Oladipo. Yeah, he talks shit every week.
He came out with one of the best comments I'd heard. Actually, one of the most bullshit ones. He says, "I've done my research. Usyk can be hit." Holy fuck, man! Stop the press. It's a
Is
fight.
that what he said?
Aye, stop the press, man. It's a fucking fight. The guy gets hit. Oh my god, man. Hey.
He's been hit, you know. Yeah.
It's a fucking boxing match against two well-conditioned, trained athletes who are trained to throw fucking punches, you muppet. Jesus Christ.
Shit, there's Addy, Wade, whatever you call him. The next one here, Smiggers Titties, the Gad. The Gad was doing a lot of talking over the week in Saudi Arabia. He said Joshua might retire. Gareth Davis on Usyk rematch and Fury retiring. Then the next day, why would Joshua retire? Gareth A. Davis breaks down Usyk AJ2 and Fury.
I think he just goes with the wind, I think. He just sees why the fucking fart smell's gone and he was fucking folly it somewhere, you know.
You do just know that the next thing Joshua does is going to be weird as shit. It's like he's going to be like, I'm going to enter the Isle of Man motorcycle race this year.
A lot of these mainstream guys that get paid to go to the events, they're really just fucking living the hustle, aren't they? Like, they want to go to the fucking event. They're going to say anything. You had Tim Bradley last night, who would obviously listen to just other people saying that Usyk could come in heavier, and he's given his post-fight breakdown saying, I think it was a mistake, Usyk coming in so much heavier. I mean, it looked different. Last night came in a half a pound heavier than the fucking first fight. But he hadn't got that memo.
Yeah, and Josh was 4 pounds heavier. Meanwhile, Spencer Oliver, can believe it or not, was on TalkSport talking up the Saudi hospitality. Oh, shit, that's going to go down amazingly well.
He did serve up some amazing moments. Like, you got Smith, you got Bean looking at the two boys with the Ukraine flag around him, and he was just short of saying, "Here I am in Saudi Arabia with Matthew Macklin, who's been sanctioned by the US government for his affiliation with a drug carteller. But isn't that wonderful? Two fighters draped in the Ukrainian flag."
See, I remember as well. I can remember was Gardner one of the guys who was like very, very vocal about the first AJ fight being in Saudi Arabia that is morally wrong and all that type of stuff. So if it's morally wrong, why the fuck are you even out there? Why is he there?
Andy. It was Bunsey, wasn't it? He was the main one.
Oh, was it Bunsey? I seen him ringside last night. He was cheering every time fucking Joshua landed a shot.
Yeah, Barry McGuigan called him out on that, didn't he?
Did he? So was he there working or was he there as an unofficial capacity? But see, if he's not working, then that's fine. But if he's working, that's no right at all. Actually, he should be fucking more professional, as Eddie says.
Working on the job here, just to bring you the best content. I've managed to cut this just in time. There it was. Rick Milligan sent this scene after Arnold Barboza fights Lopez. Caption this.
And I guess the shite bag deleted it. Fucking double down, man. Triple down. Don't fucking back down.
Yeah, back out with the video footage of Teofimo doing that shovel motion.
See, the thing is, though, you can imagine his dad actually doing that, photobombing fucking young Teofimo lying in his coffin like that, you know?
Oh dear. Yeah, doing the Fortnite jump into the coffin.
Yes! Yes! I'm glad you got this, man.
Eubank Senior on MasterChef wearing a tweed jacket to cook in, Pisser. Sheriff's badge as well.
Mate, I said these last week. I can't remember if it was on the
I
DM
remember
or
that
WhatsApp. I said,
Turn on
guys,
MasterChef.
turn on MasterChef right now. You got fucking dickhead here. I've actually got a video of actually. He's actually mixing up something in the pot, and then he goes to taste it. Next minute, he's fucking shadow boxing and all that thing. He's got the whole fucking place up the raptures. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Who's that with him like a Poundland Lou DiBella?
That's it.
fella?
That's one of the hosts, mate.
Can that
Mate.
fella with the fucking camera and just make Eubank the host of MasterChef going forward? That's what they need to do.
Please see if you can try and cut that. I just posted the link in the chat. It's literally an 8-second clip if you can manage it. It just shows you what I was talking about there. Honestly, fucking Christ, man. What a man he is. Also, I love that.
None of what he's doing actually makes it makes no sense. It's like he wakes up every day like a Mr. Potato Head and just starts putting fucking shit in holes.
It's Eubank, Matty.
You wonder why his son's so. You wonder why his son's so fucked up.
Yeah, but I think that's why he's got the tweed jacket on. He's even got cufflinks. He's got the cufflinks in the fucking shirt sleeves. He's got the fucking jacket buttoned up. He's got the sheriff's badge on. Oh, cooking food.
The man looks like his old trailer, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, Ronnie Davis.
Ronnie Davis, yeah.
That's one of the hosts for MasterChef, I believe. I couldn't believe it. I turned around last week. Ozzy's like mouthing off about fucking Eubank. I turned around at the telly that I watched. I said, "There's fucking Eubank fucking cooking on the telly there." I'm shouting out to you guys. None of you fucking responded, so I'm assuming he's missed it.
Oh,
I just thought you were gone mad. He's like, "Turn on MasterChef." I was like, "What's wrong with him?"
In the wrong group.
It's like, I know he'll watch any fucking card, but I'm MasterChef.
Right, let's see what else we've got here. As I upload that clip, we should have it very shortly for you. Here's people who don't need MasterChef. Christopher Lovejoy, and he's got 7 shirtless men calling my name. Can't wait to hit the UK again.
That's
Like
why
a
no one can get
tornado.
the fucking money from Don King, by the way. He's after getting it, obviously.
Is that big fucking Johnny's dad, by the way?
Fisher and all them were calling him out.
Oh,
from
mate,
the
can you
pool.
imagine I'm surprised the board didn't jump out the pool when he dived in it, man. Fucking hell. Did you get his Chinese order during the week there? Fuck, Jesus.
Is he a boxer or a prostitute? Like what? He's got 7 fat shirtless men drawn in his direction somewhere. Like they got money or something. What's the fucking story here?
Big John Fisher, man. He's the new Big John Fury.
Sugar diabetes, the new Welsh heavyweight.
Huh? His tits float.
So I was going to say a pair of floaters.
I didn't get this cut in time, Andy, but I'm sure you saw it on Timbox AO. IFL tried to rip it off as well. So debutant Boniface Chabuda against Samson Itimaya. There wasn't much itting going on anyway. Your man leans forward and just takes a dive.
Just takes a dive, mate, and then gets up and somehow swan dives again across the fucking to the other corner. What a shit face! So fucking embarrassing.
Oh,
So go to Timbox AO's Twitter account to see that one. That was absolutely disgraceful, mate.
Your man's 0-6. I'd love to see the other 0-5.
Shout out to the boys. Danny Garcia, nominated by Dominic Henry. Swift Garcia says, Baby Garcia, born on the 18th of August, 2022. I posted the baby's name and live footage of the birth on my OnlyFans link in the bio.
Jesus Christ.
The fuck want to watch that?
Imagine that fucking mess, man.
Probably some of our listeners.
I can imagine Ricky Graville will be on there fucking shortly. You want to do
I'm
that?
surprised he hasn't fucking WhatsApp that in already.
Cutting it and tweeting it.
Oh, give him time, mate. Tomorrow's just around the corner. Don't you worry about that.
If it was from our generation, he'd have lightning crashes by Live in the background.
I think Ricky was editing it and he was like, "Oh, the baby lives." No, I'm not sending that out.
Hope she didn't need stitches, by the way. Fucking hell.
Joseph Ajeo, he says, in fairness, Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua must do drugs tests before the bout and after. Usyk's sudden weight gain is a concern, but I put this in for the photo.
Put me ounces to fucking weight heavier than fucking next fight. Fuck me.
Some man to be talking about investigating fucking weight gain there, isn't he?
Exactly. I guess that was a narrative they're all pushing to Eddie, Fraser Clark, other people that's, he's looking massive, he's looking jacked up. But you need to remember, was he taking some of these pictures after he just worked out where he's looking pretty swole? You know what I'm saying? So, fucking then he weighs in like literally less than half a pound than what he was in the last fight. Fucking ages heavier. Fucking Christ.
The good doctor Joseph Ajeo is clearly not a cardiologist.
Mate, he probably bought his PhD off the internet, fuck's sake.
Aye, the University of Aruba.
Aye.
It's the
Probably got a fake
cardiologists
Nigerian
that be the
passport as well.
fatties. It is the cardiologists that be the fat ones. Like, Mr. Kelly, you need to cut down on these bacon rolls. Like, well, get out what the fuck you're doing. I don't think so. I think this is something. I'm going to write this one out.
Oh dear. Yeah, Liam Wynn, a Belly of the Week for Ben Whittaker, having Justin Timberlake in his corner team. There was...
He fucking looks just like him.
He does. He just needs a wee bit kind of thicker beard that sets it all off for him. I've dreamed of this
He
with a
looks
little
like
boy, you know.
like a mix between Timberlake and that fucking American guy who's in every fucking shit fucking sitcom ever. You know the guy I'm talking about? I don't know his name.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yes. Don't know what his name is. BBB's weighing in literally on Joseph Ajayo. He says PhD, pretty heavy diet.
Aye, of bullshit. Master Steve Wellings, Mr. Wellington.
Mr. Wellington. I play that up though. I call myself Wellington to him, you see.
You're just mocking the fuck to do your
like Joseph, it's Wellington here.
He's putting a bit of beef in the okra soup anyway, but it looks of it.
Oh, dearie me.
Ricky Graville sent this in, AJ Gandhi. He says, I don't know what's going on in Ukraine, but it's not nice, Mahatma Joshua.
Mahatma Joshua. I want to say, man, if they spent a 10-minute monologue telling Vladimir Putin to pull the troops back, tell the British government to get their fucking shit in order, get the fucking energy bill sorted out, get the inflation in order, but no, we didn't get any of that shit. Not at all, mate. You go Ukraine, lovely country, never been there, but I don't know what's happening there, but it's fucking just.
But the Lomachenko thing, we mentioned this at the top of the show. He's on about, I know that something was going down or whatever when Lomachenko fought in the rematch against Orlando. What was he talking about?
I think. When did Loma fight Solido? Was it 2014? If it was, then that's when the Russians invaded.
The Orange Revolution or whatever.
No, that was during the Klitschko reign, mate. That was the Vitali fight. That's when Vitali wore that orange thing against Danny Williams.
Yes.
I think with the Loma situation he was referring to was when they took Crimea, the Russians, because that's where Loma and Usyk are originally from, that area, Crimea,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Right. AJ's on something with this politics.
AJ on the energy crisis when they're telling you, he's like, I can't do that. I'm not fucking 14 stone. Heavy.
I'm 18 stone. I'm a new breed of heavyweight. Fucking hell.
Oh, poor AJ, he's had it rough. Here's one from you, Rob. You've nominated Eric Kelly, lecturing society on the importance of bees while posting pictures of a wasp. You've nominated Mr. Kelly before. Mr. Kelly, who is this Eric Kelly again?
Eric AK, he was ex-amateur boxer for the American Olympic squad, I'm sure.
Oh, was he? Right.
Aye.
Rob stuck this in. I know Rob's nominated Eric Kelly before for boxing related.
Yeah, he's got some. Yeah, he's a headbanger. He's a former amateur star. He got hit with a pool cue and his eye lost vision in his eye, so he had to give up as a pro. And he kind of came to light training Wall Street guys and making fun of him, calling them miscreants and everything when they were in the gym.
OTG podcast with Paddy Cronin and that.
Yeah, but his views on the sport are wild. He has some wild takes. But he's one of these guys that believes like if you haven't laced up the gloves, like you've no like he's often told me I don't know what I'm talking about and all. But he's fucking. But he put up this picture about bees. I can't quite make it out. Was it how many bees did I see this summer? I was sitting outside in the middle of blah 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 and bees, and they're all pointing to agriculture. Meanwhile, he posts up a picture of a wasp. So someone put under the comment that said, "That's a wasp, BK," and he was like, "Yes, but still, bees are important."
That pool cue must have done more damage than you thought.
CTE, man.
I'm surprised that there's many wasps in Ireland at all.
Oh, yeah, fair for you.
Good one, Eddie. I got that
one. I don't see many white Anglo-Saxon Protestants in that part of the area that Rob's failing, to be honest with you. So.
You could see anything down here. Let me tell you.
Rob, this time Andy explained the joke.
No, I got it, dude. I got it. I know.
He knows what I'm talking about.
I know.
Yeah. Talking about good former jokes, Andy BBB says, was the Crimea conflict in 2014? Rumour has it Ricky Hatton would have got involved and scared of insult. You'll never live that one down, Andy. No, that is the GOAT moment.
I never said that. I never said that.
I know I explained it the wrong way because I'm not going to go back into it again, right?
You would pay to have sex with Ricky
I had read an article basically the week before it, and there was like, you know how you get all these hazing situations in the army, for example.
Yeah.
Well, apparently in Russia, the seniors actually like got hold of the new bucks and fucking sell them out into like sexual slavery or in war zones, for example, that type of thing. And I tried to explain it in a certain way, and it just didn't come across fucking right enough. So what can I fucking say? I just need to own it. I just need to own it, mate. That's all I've got to do.
I never said that. I never fucking said that.
Best moment ever, man. A BBB says St. Patrick chased all the wasps away.
Still a few kicking about. Still a few kicking about.
Oh, good stuff, good stuff. Right, what else have we got? We've got the video here. We're delivering again. Here's Chris Eubank. Andy sent it in. Let's get it played. Nope.
With the punches.
Just pure gold, man.
Need to get that on the zone to get the fucking subscribers up. Need that on the zone to get the fucking
Probably why
on MasterChef. That's the way to go.
Probably why he's had so many unsuccessful relationships. Like you feed him food and he just starts throwing punches.
One of the best stories I can remember reading about Eubank, I'm not surprised she divorced him, but he come home late this night. He was married at the time, right? He woke up at 2 or 3 in the morning, woke his wife up, insisting that she stay awake and listen to him reading her poetry. He deserved to get divorced. He deserved to get fucking drop kicked out the fucking window, actually, the fucking third fucking floor, possibly as well for that.
Yeah, but you fucking women, you can never keep them happy. You know who fucking, you know what I mean? He's fucking staying up late at night reading your poetry. What more do you want? You fucking selfish cow.
Rob has experienced similar, clearly, because 3 o'clock in the morning he's probably been reading chicks his rhymes and gotten a similar reaction. I think you experienced the same hurt, haven't you, Rob? Who hurt you, Rob? Who hurt you?
I never took too many clean shots, I have to say.
Good man. Good man. Andy, you have actually inadvertently led me on to our final Boy of the Week nomination here. Anthony Joshua said, ready, powered by Bulk Official, and Aussie greatness. This was Sam brought this to my attention. She says, Anthony Joshua. And then she proceeded to write a poem. Born in the month of Kings, built like a gladiator, he's standing tall. Under the choking heat, he is running. Every drop of sweat from his body is oozing. Victory is mine. I am with bride of the Red Sea. I have come to make her mine, taking all her glory with me. I have come to be king again. On the battle rage of the Red Sea, my rage will be felt. I will be ruthless. I've tasted love. I've tasted warmth. As a unifier, not now, I failed to hold on to her, my heart. I failed my love, my arrogance. She went on to say later, just like Christ, I shall finish my battle in victory. I shall not die, but live to celebrate my wins and praise God for my victory. I am Anthony Joshua. I've come for my bride, for my crown, for my victory. I have come to take her home. I'm not sure how that went, but a nice poem all the same.
Rides the arse off for the end of it. I think on the second page.
I'm getting Mourinho vibes here, mate. I'm in very big trouble. I ain't saying shit. No joking.
Aussie greatness, not our Aussie anyway. And an absolute disgrace. Or chippy tits into that second stanza.
Sounds like something somebody writes under fucking one of Ebony Bridges is fucking bikini pics, doesn't it?
Oh dear me, that is all the ones I have got. Well, I tell you what, I could have had many, many more we got sent in, but those are all the ones I could cope with, Andy. You've sent me plenty as well. I've tried my best. Is there any more?
I know. Well, Eddie Hearn, obviously, for multiple offences. You know, firstly for that suit. I know the suit probably cost like a couple of grand, maybe even more. But it was ill-fitting, looked cheap. It looked like you just got it off the rack at Matalan, to be fair. So that suit was pretty awful. I'm going to put Broner in here, purely because he was in the club after pulling out the fight. But I'm going to want to take it easy on Broner a wee bit in that, because it's the first time he's pulled out anything, especially when you've got his fucking platoon of kids that he's got and that. So he's learning. He's learning the life. That's the good thing about it. And What else we got? Eddie Hearn again, possibly. There's got to be other ones. The judge, what's his name? Cheatham.
Glenn
What's his name?
Feldman.
Glenn Feldman. Shout out to Rob Tibbett for putting it on him. Oh, aye, Glenn Feldman, the little fucking weasel, shat it. Hid behind his little fucking mate, trying to get us little people to understand how to score a fucking fight. Disgraceful. That's what they need to be fronting these judges and that, fucking calling him out for his bollocks, because just sad to see him just hide behind. Just take some fucking responsibility for your fucking actions, mate. That's what you got to do. But he never done it. Hid behind his wee fucking pal. Got to keep the gravy train going. And what else we got? Just use Joshua for dumping the belts. Belts that weren't his. That whole shebang. So yeah, mate. That's the only one winner for me this week. It's unanimous decision. There was a split decision like last night. AJ, Femi.
Yeah.
He is a Belly the week winner for me.
Jason Chucker jumped in the chat. He says, I feel for Femi, Matty. His people's dem abandoned him. Wise words from Jason, I think.
Very much so. Very much so. I think that many people would agree with them. Isaac Lowe among them.
Have you got any nominations for Belly of the Week?
Yeah, I think you got to go Adrian Broner and his bullshit of getting in the club after he canceled the fight. The scorecards that came in that Santeon fight were absolutely awful. And I think those two probably. Maybe there was one more that I thought that when we were discussing stuff early on, but it's probably just Anthony Joshua related, and that's just its own hodgepodge of epic proportions.
It could be anything. Rob, you've thrown in Eric Kelly. Anything else before we get to the conclusion?
Oh, you hear me now?
Yeah, go on.
You hear me?
Yeah.
McGregor had.
Oh, aye.
McGregor had a. Yeah, he had a go at Frotch. I don't know. Frotch must have made a disparaging remark about him on the Sky broadcast. That Frotch, thick little scrawny pencil neck, I'd grab his head and twist it clean off with a oneer out me bare hands, little Wally, and slap you around, you little toffee nose tosspot. So that was good. Like, Frost responded. I think he said, "I'll show you how the big boys do it." Beard, and they're going to have a push and a pull on the cobbles. The two. So, McGregor's good value. Like, I'd say he's good crack to hang out with if you just got him talking shit about people. Like, he's funny on Twitter anyway. But that was a good one. So
Simon Jordan as well for calling out the Herons.
Yeah, telling Eddie to wind his neck in. That was good. Wind your neck in. Don't be lecturing us on fucking the morality of fucking holding fights in Saudi Arabia just because you're earning a shit ton of money out of it. So good man, Simon Jordan, for being the voice of fucking good work in the mainstream. I'm like on fucking tipsy there, aren't I?
There was a good point in there somewhere.
Yeah, and there was the one for Ebony Bridges. He took a picture with Kell Brook and said, "What would the babies look like?" Dad was fucking raging when he seen that picture, like, and then everyone was giving her stick online because they were thinking, like, what would Kell Brook's wife or fella think about all this? And
you fucking shit house.
She said they broke up a year ago, so mind your own business and all. And then wasn't she there on the night of this fight and all that? And she's like, so she's implying that there's some kind of relationship between Ebony Bridges and Kell Brook, Babby. And so, maybe he's fucking, I'm not going to say what I think he could be doing, but he's, good luck to the two of them. There'll be a boxing power couple. It'll be a good reality show down the line. So I hope they can get that bread together in a genuine relationship.
I wonder
Ebony's barking up the wrong tree.
I wonder if Ebony could get Kell to rise like the Phoenix, mate. What do you think? Yeah. Then I've got the Phoenix. The Phoenix.
Guys, I don't know about you, but I just consider myself a pure romantic, and I see this beautiful ceremony in Australia, Father Dave officiating. Why can't we make this happen?
Mate, I'm guaranteed. I bet the gad's hiding in her fucking wardrobe, and the 92 get it on by a surprise.
Well,
I want the two
further
of them
proof.
to have. I want the two of them to have a fucking reality show together where they document their love and Gad is the narrator. I want to pitch this right now after Eubank on MasterChef.
You know, as much as Gad thought that he had a chance, this just goes to prove that a financially stable and good-looking, well-trained athlete will more often than not get a woman before somebody who looks like a human manifestation of a troll doll.
Oh, that's terrible, Matty. Poor respected
That
boxing
is.
individuals. That's
What about
shocking,
chicks? What about that's putting the fucking integrity of chicks with dig in the gutter, man.
Yeah, you're gonna get cancelled.
Saying that Gad looks like a troll doll?
Right. Yeah, I'm not even
I
going
tell
to
you
bother
what,
reading them back.
sorry,
I think
mate.
we're all
Sorry.
gonna wait. Yeah, go on.
Can you imagine that flight back from Saudi Arabia to fucking Britain once it gets out of Saudi Arabian airspace? Fucking barmaid, fucking 16 pints down here, please. Fucking cunts will be coming off that plane, man, swaggering like fuck. Jesus. we're playing tag with the walls trying to get through fucking passport control. Fucking hell.
You can now get alcohol laws waived in certain circumstances.
Oh, I bet you can.
And shit. Yeah.
If you've got enough cash, I can imagine.
Yeah. Mohammed bin Salman. It's a complicated discussion for another podcast, different show probably.
Yeah, different show. Yeah, I'm not going to go through them all, Andy. I think we all know where this is heading. Who's your nomination? Who are you going for?
Oh, mate, I think I've got to go for the only man possible. I think Eddie Hearn. No, of course not. Anthony Joshua, man. That's just fucking. This is. It wasn't your moment, dude. It was not your moment. Say nothing or walk away. And to touch a man's fucking hardware as well and dump it out of the side like a fucking some petulant child. You know, I meant to let my kids see you, be a role model, but acting like that. No, you're okay, mate.
It's one for Joshua. Matty, who are you going for? Matty?
Steve, as much as I'd like to go for Joshua.
Oh, come off it,
man. He seems a little bit unstable, and you also have to give him a little bit of credit for giving us, both the boxing history and world history lesson, all in that short 3-minute span of time. Which can you really put a price on that? So I'm going to go with Adrian Broner and him avoiding getting a paycheck in exchange for protecting his mental health by going to the club and getting drunk and filling up some titties.
Well, you know what, Rob? Imagine putting in all that unrivaled work and not getting Bellew of the Week after a weekend like that. It's got to be AJ for me.
Well, this is a fucking similar split decision, isn't it, to last night? Somehow you're finding 7 rounds for Broner here, and they're just not there. Like,
it's more like I think he's unhinged, and I'm officially done kicking him while he's down. I'm pulling the plug right now.
I agree. I would preface it with that. I hope he's okay, but it's whether you believe that was a petulant and arrogant display, or a mental breakdown, or a kind of him feeling the pressure. So whatever way you lie on it, but him storming the ring like Vince McMahon to grab the microphone when Bean is trying to spin it like it's some positive good words from Joshua there. Oh, he's gone a little too far now, Matthew.
Legs are shaky. You should have won the ring. Kill the music. Kill the music.
Oh yeah, it's just fucking brilliant. So yeah, absolute goal from AJ. Like Bellew of the year, really. Like it's going to take some topping. Like we'll never forget.
Absolutely, well said.
Rage on the Red Sea, right enough, eh?
Rage on the Red Sea, Royd Rage on the Red Sea. Congratulations.
Raging on the Red Sea. Raging for man. What are you fucking attacking old men for?
But I think it's those, Rob, we're bathing in them tears, baby. We're bathing in them tears.
Yeah. Congratulations to Anthony Joshua. You're on Bellew of the Week for episode 488. Come on.
Did you guys catch that one fight? I'm trying to think who he was, but he was talking about how his mother told him he had to think of the fight like he was the pilot of a plane, and he just had to bring it in for the landing.
Who said that?
I can't remember, but it was on the fucking Saudi card. I can't remember. I swear to God it happened, though. Maybe I imagined it like Andy imagined a fight that didn't happen.
Gonzalez Rodriguez.
Well, speaking of your imagination, Fucking Dillian White's phone's after been hopping today, isn't it? That second fight that you imagined you saw was going to happen.
I know.
You spoken into existence, man.
So it turns out, Rob, that I'm not. There's not a problem with my memory. It's just that I am a prophet.
It's backwards.
Hey, talking about profits, by the way, Eddie Hearn better start getting some profits from the zone sometime soon, by the way.
Right.
Let's get back to burning Eddie Hearn. Back to what
Yes.
Good man.
Let's go over time
Good
here, mate.
man,
Let's go over
AJ.
time. Doesn't speak shit, Eddie, does he?
Yeah, before I hand over to you, Matty, a few things. First of all, shout out to the head of the Asylum's technical team, Ben Faruqi, doing unrivaled work out in Saudi Arabia. Great job from him. Also, shout out to our new Patreon subscribers, Pete S. and Barry White. I'm assuming it's not the deceased R&B singer Barry White, but he's in our Patreon. Anyway, also shout out to the Super Chatters tonight. Has255, Cedric Sniff, Michael McAway, Michael Wrigley, David Palmer, Danny Young, Liam Davis, and Paul Raftery. I feel like I might be missing one. Sorry if I am. Thank you, Matty. That's all from me. Cheers.
And thank you, Steve. Also, thank you to Andy and Rob for coming on for this episode of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse. Like I said earlier, the month of September looks absolutely fantastic. We'll be back next week, and we will be reviewing that Pedraza Comey fight, seeing if Rob got it right as the one man standing on that pick. You folks have a great week ahead, and we will see you next time around.
Be safe, boys.
We'll never forget.
Ellie, let's get up me.
Go to and move!
We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch. I've never met a fucking swank that can fight me.
I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumpo fucking stiltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7 year ain't. I will fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love boxing sounds, as simple as that.